What's happening, everybody? Appreciate you guys checking in. I'm popping in on a Tuesday, hitting you guys a little bit of a live. Typically I go live on Sundays with my guys in the Raider War Room. Couldn't go live on Sunday. I actually was at the game, the Kansas City game. Shout out to everybody that met up, man. The entire Raider Nation packed that house a little bit, and we had a little bit of fun last Sunday, but couldn't make it back in time to go live with my guys, with Chris as well as Severe. We're going to go live tomorrow. We're going to break down just a little bit of the game film. Obviously, not a whole lot to watch with that last game film against Kansas City Chiefs, but there's a ton to talk about, obviously, with Pete Carroll being out, a bunch of head coaches now being slotted in as possible candidates. So we're going to talk about that. But we're going to break down just a little bit of the game film. All right. The thing about last Sunday, that last game is obviously we're going against a lot of backups. Both teams were basically trying to fight for that number one position, but we pulled off that win, still kept that number one, which made last Sunday even that much more exciting. But one thing that I did promise you guys a couple weeks ago is if we locked in that number one overall draft pick, that I was going to do a giveaway. But not only, in addition to that giveaway, I've also been promising that I do a giveaway at 5,500 subscribers. I think I just hit that mark today. I think what we'll do is we'll do that giveaway at the my next live. This one, we will do the giveaway for basically locking in that number one overall draft pick. So all you have to do is basically hit that sub button, put a comment in the comment section. I see some of you guys popping in. Just put a comment in the comment section, and you're automatically entered into the giveaway. I'm doing a little bit of a StreamYard does a drawing tool. So as soon as we're done with the live, I'm going to hit that draw button. As long as you put a comment in the comment section, you're automatically entered in the giveaway. What I'll do is I'll watch out for Chewy. Chewy, I don't know if you can be able to get in this one. I'm just letting y'all know. But just throw something. I don't care. Put who you want as the next coach. Who you want as the next draft pick in the first round. I don't care. As long as you put a comment in, you'll be entered in the giveaway. Right now we have 5 entries. So throw in those comments and we'll hit that draw button at the end of the live. So definitely appreciate you guys rocking out with me again. If you guys are new to the channel, I'm 805 Raider. My channel is Real Talk Raider Nation. I hit you guys randomly with lives. I like to do some shorts. I used to do some videos. I might do some videos as well. But I'm kind of hitting you guys with some quick shorts. I think it's the easiest way to kind of get just my perspective out on some of these topics. You guys that have rocked with me for a long time, you guys know I got a full-time job, wife, kids, the whole nine. But what I like to do is come up on here and rock out with a little bit of solo lives at times and kind of get that one-on-one with y'all. And today we're going to talk about the firing of Pete Carroll, touch on that just a little bit. But I want to kind of do a deep dive on John Spytek's presser that he did yesterday. Mainly because markdavis, he came out and said both Spytek as well as Tom Brady, they are going to be in the driver's seat as it relates as to who is going to identify and hire the next head coach. And there are definitely some things that I heard out of John Spytek, and some of the reporters asked some very targeted questions as the involvement of Tom Brady moving forward. And I got to take on that. I got to take on just not only the questions as well as the response that we heard from John Spytek. And I have a pretty strong take as it relates to Tom Brady, and I think just what he needs to do moving forward in order for us to get a perspective as to how much involvement and how much blame we can put on Spytek or Tom Brady, depending on whether or not the next head coach pans out or fails. And so I definitely want to give you guys my take on that. But I appreciate everybody rocking through. Appreciate you pulling up. I'm just going on a random Tuesday. We're going to talk about Pete Carroll, Spytek, the presser, and at the very end, we'll definitely talk about some head coaches, because right before jumping on here, all of a sudden I find out John Harbaugh is now no longer the head coach with the Baltimore Ravens. And as much as some people might like John Harbaugh, and there's a lot of things to like about John Harbaugh, what that does is it creates another job opening that now we have to battle with as it relates to who are we going to be able to get as the next head coach for Las Vegas Raiders. And so I've said this before. I've been saying it for at least the last month now, is I do think that getting that number one overall pick, whether that meant losing I want to say I started talking about this maybe around week 12, 13. If if that meant losing to get the number 1 overall pick, I think it just makes our job just a little more enticing for a head coaching candidate. And as it stands right now, there's, I believe, 6 additional head coaching vacancies with the Ravens now, their job position being opened up. I think that's 6 total now outside of ours that's available. And I'm going to tell you right now, we need to make this as enticing as possible. And having that number 1 overall draft pick, I do think that helps. So appreciate everybody rocking with me. Remember, we're doing a giveaway at the end of this, as promised, for locking up that number 1 overall draft pick. But I also have a giveaway at $5,500. Again, I think I met that earlier today, but we'll do that on another live either later this week. I might surprise you over the weekend, but I'll definitely drop that one. But we're doing today's giveaway for locking in that number 1 overall draft pick. So I appreciate everybody rocking. Also, I did drop membership, so if you want to be able to just support the channel in a different way, I do have memberships. One thing that I will do for the members is that if you guys want us to break down specific players, or whether it be in free agency or prospects, college prospects, definitely you can shoot them over. We'll take those suggestions, put those as the top priority, and we'll definitely do a deeper dive and break down those players. And so, Robert Penny in the building. Appreciate you being the first one in here. What's going on, man? LS in the building. Appreciate you popping in. Always popping in here, but also being a member, man. I appreciate you. My 2 in the building as well. A member. Appreciate you, brother. Isaiah, what's happening? Dre in the building. What's going on, man? Appreciate you rocking up in here. I definitely love seeing the regulars getting up in here and getting an opportunity to get into the giveaway. It's going to be awesome. Raider, Hawaii, what's going on, man? You're saying Clint Kubiak. We're going to talk about it. You guys know, majority of you guys know how I feel, and I think Clint Kubiak for me is at the top of the list for a lot of reasons, and we'll talk about it towards the tail end. Kevin Lurker, what's going on, man? Brendan next. He's got to get out of here, and I'm seeing reports of agents of players releasing statements of just how bad the situation with Brendan Carroll was. And that's probably something we're going to talk about tomorrow with Chris and Severe. I definitely want to get their perspective on it. We're all going to get together and kind of chop it up about it. But I don't know if you guys, before the season started, this is probably around, I think, the May timeframe. I went on a Friday night live. If you guys saw that one with Lunatic Raider, myself, Severe, Chris from Protect the Shield, we had a pretty lively live that one. It was fun. But Rundown, he popped on and he asked me a question. He said, "What's my biggest concern going into this season?" And this was in the May timeframe. And I told him my biggest concern was Brendan Carroll. Because, one, we needed the offensive line to do well. We needed the offensive line to be the strength of our offense. And we missed it. We missed it completely in through free agency. It remains to be seen just kind of how the draft played out. But I will say I think Brendan Carroll was my biggest concern because nothing in his resume stated that he should have been the leader of that offensive line group, the leading coach of that offensive line, and we saw it all play out. And so it's going to be really hard to assess how we move forward in free agency as well as the draft, knowing that we had some linemen that looked good at the end of 2024 and then completely regressed. The JPJs, the DJ Glazes, even Jordan Meredith. Now, Jordan Meredith, he's going to go into free agency. Remains to be seen if we're going to bring him back at all. But obviously, he regressed. Moving him to center was the worst decision possible. JPJ didn't look as good as the year before. Moving him to the guard position, DJ Glaze completely regressed. And so it's hard to really understand what we have in this offensive line room, given the fact that Brendan Carroll absolutely screwed us in coaching. And in the end, Pete Carroll screwed us by allowing his son to take over that unit. So that's going to be tough. We'll definitely talk about it tomorrow. But I'm going to bring up some clips from the Spytek presser, and I want to do a deep dive on that. So up downstate, what's going on, brother? Appreciate you popping up in here as well. Troy Gill in the building. Dre, I see you throwing out John Gruden, man. Can't rock with it. But I also see that afterwards. And so you know my take on John Gruden. Billy in the building, what's going on, man? Anyone will be better than Pete and his started kids. Man, I hope that's the next. I know John Spytek, I didn't clip this, but John Spytek was asked about the coaches and the assistant coaches, sorry. And he basically said they're all basically still under contract, which is the right thing to say because they all are. But we will see. We'll see those coaches being clipped here very, very, very soon. The one thing that I will say is I think no matter what happens, I think Patrick Graham is out of the building. I think he's going to move on whether it's John Spytek moving on from him, because I do think that it's going to be John Spytek needs to give the next head coach full reign to bring on his own staff. That's what John Spytek needs to do. It'd be the right thing to do. But with all the reports of Robert Saleh, obviously being tied to the Raiders prior to the season, wanting them to bring him in and be the highest paid coordinator in the NFL history to basically take over Patrick Graham's job, that tells me they didn't even want Patrick Graham in the beginning. So I think no matter what, I think Patrick Graham's out of the building. Upstate, you're saying Clinton Kubiak. I mean, that's my top choice for sure. LS, you're saying Spytek was like prime Shady McCoy, the way he juked around that question about Maxx. I'm going to bring that up. That's something we're going to talk about. That's something we're going to talk about for sure. I'm going to give you my take on it, but at the same time, I want to get everybody else's take. What up, Isaiah? In the building. What's going on, man? LS Hondo, True North Carpenter. What up, UEP? What's going on, brother? Appreciate you rocking. And you're Jack in the building as well. What's going on, man? Appreciate you. We got 13 people now entered in to the giveaway. All you have to do is just put a comment in the comment section. You're automatically entering the giveaway, and I'll hit that draw button at the tail end of this. And we'll do that giveaway, man. Again, promised you we'll do a giveaway by locking up that number one overall pick. We did it, and we're going to rock out and do it. So we'll have a little bit of fun. LS O-line coach is the third biggest hire you can make behind a head coach and O-line coach. I 100% agree. And that was my biggest question mark going into this season, man. Huey. Well, we had Philbin in the building, which makes even more no sense. And I'm with you. And one thing that I've said in the past, and again, it's just because I understand the majority of the inner workings of a college football staff, a college staff, as well as a pro staff, because college and pro kind of mirror each other and just kind of how they coach and develop players. And so I think there's a reason why we saw some develop out of Caleb Rogers. He kind of had up and down games, right? Sometimes the first game, Caleb Rogers had a full start under his belt. I forget what week it is. I think it might have been week 13 or 14 roughly. He looked pretty good, but then he regressed, right? But we saw some positives from Caleb Rogers, and that's expected out of a rookie. Then we see Charles Grant, and we're going to break down a little bit of Charles Grant's film because I definitely want to see just kind of how Charles Grant ended the season, because against the Chiefs, he got the most playing time he's got all season long. Now, mind you, it is against some of the backups, which is fine, but we definitely would just want to see what we have in him. And so we'll take a look at Charles Grant tomorrow when we break down the game film in the war room. But I think there's a reason why we saw some development out of Charles Grant as well as Caleb Rogers, is because typically you have developmental coaches. And I think Joe Philbin was one of those developmental coaches where Brendan Carroll's working mainly with the starters. You basically work 80% with the starters. And you're working one-on-one with those guys where you have developmental coaches that will take some of those guys like the Caleb Rogers and the Charles Grant, and you'll work with basically like a Joe Philbin. And in my opinion, I think that's why we may have saw some progress out of both of our rookies kind of towards the tail end of the season. So again, to me, it's just my perspective. It's obviously a pure guess on my point. It's just understanding and knowing just how coaching staffs work at the college and pro level. And so, again, by working with Joe Philbin a little bit, these rookies, if that was the case, maybe that's why we saw some progress out of them and why we saw the starters absolutely regress all season long. So, again, just my take, what I think, why we saw some improvement in some areas and not others. I think that might have been the case. Daniel Kim in the building. What's going on, man? Appreciate you rocking with me. Hugh, you're saying Genty said Spytek was watching film with him to help develop, which is crazy work. And good on Spytek. And I think that there's now reports coming out that Spytek was also trying to watch film of the offensive line and help. And I don't know what capacity, but just trying to get a better idea of what the issues were with the offensive line. And when the GM is trying to break down game film and maybe working with the players a little bit, man, it just kind of it shows just how bad Brendan Carroll was and why he should have never been in that job, in that position in the first place. Seven Sons, what's going on? You saying go get Harbaugh? Hey, now he's on the open market. Look, Harbaugh, in my opinion, I think, his record speaks for itself, right? If you allow him to come in and basically develop develop a roster from scratch. There's no doubt that you would like to see him kind of in that position, but I have a concern of bringing in somebody that doesn't necessarily hold the offensive coordinator / defensive coordinator position, right? You tend to start to lose coaches, and I'm going to get into a clip where Spytek talks about the sustained success, and this is something I've talked about for months now. When it was prior to talking about Pete Carroll, right? And so there's a clip that I'm going to show today, and we're definitely going to talk about that. We'll talk about head coaches at the tail end here. Isaiah saying, I don't want Harbaugh for some reason. I don't know, man. Maybe I'm tripping. We'll talk about it, man. Ellis, you're agreeing with it. You're saying no to Harbaugh, need a younger coach. I know, like, look, and there's going to be like who the next quarterback potentially is going to be. I think there's now with throwing Harbaugh in the picture. I think there's a lot of people that might be okay with Harbaugh, and there's a lot of reasons why you could be perfectly fine with Harbaugh, right? But I think also people have their preferences on going younger, offensive minded, defensive minded, and we'll talk about it. But it's definitely going to open up the conversation for sure. Jason, what's going on, brother? Let everybody know if you're going live there today, because Jason, I think you go live on Tuesday, so let everybody know so everybody can tap into you as well. What up, Daniel? What's going on, man? In the building. LS, if you've got the number 1 draft pick and you're 99% taking a quarterback, you'd be foolish in this day and age not to have an offensive play caller as your head coach. I agree. Again, and I think it's all about the development. We're going to tap into that because, again, Spytek talked about the sustained success, and that kind of leads into that topic. And so once I play that, we'll definitely get into it. But I appreciate everybody rocking. Dick's in the building, man. I'm happy to see you in here as well, man. You in here for the giveaway. I got the ticker going. Now we got 18 people, including that giveaway, man. I appreciate everybody rocking. And at the tail end of this, I'm going to hit that draw button, and we're definitely going to rock out with that giveaway. Rick in the building as well, man. Central Valley, Tulare House, great talk. We need young offensive coach. I think there's a good amount of people leading that way for sure. Cool. Appreciate it. Okay. Got everybody so far. I want to say what's up to as many people as I could. Let's talk real quick. All right. The firing of Pete Carroll. Look, I think a lot of people, I want to say probably 95% of the Raider fan base was cool with moving on from Pete Carroll. One of the things that some of y'all have rocked out with me, and you guys have heard me say it, is one of the biggest reasons why you move on from Pete Carroll at this point is because, one, he's 74 years old. He's not going to be here to rebuild. And if we have the number 1 overall draft pick and you do get a quarterback, Pete Carroll's not the guy that's going to develop that quarterback, right? He's not going to be here long enough to be able to kind of sustain the development of that quarterback. Got to move on from him. In addition to that, if you want to draft a quarterback or a young talent with the number 1 overall draft pick, you also want to be able to, with $100+ million in salary cap space, you still want to be able to bring in some quality free agents. A lot of people are talking about bringing in a quality center like Linderbaum, right? Bring in an offensive lineman like I've wanted to in the past. The last 2 free agent cycles, I wanted to address the offensive line. If you want to bring in a top-tier free agent, not only does that mean that top-tier free agent is going to want to sign a contract with the team that's going to provide stability, right? They're going to want to sign a 4 to 5 or a 3 to 4 year contract. Well, if Pete Carroll's not going to be here, then that means that they're basically risking that they might be basically tossed around at the tail end of that contract. Pete Carroll's not going to be here to see out that contract. So you don't provide that stability. In addition to that, if you're a top tier free agent, we're not going to be the only team that wants to go after him. They're probably going to have three or four other teams that are going to want to bring them in. And now it becomes an absolute bidding war. And if you have a 74-year-old head coach that's not going to be here through the length of that contract, the stability is not there. So the likelihood that we actually can capture that top tier free agent and help out that top number 1 draft pick, it just doesn't work out. And so moving on from Pete Carroll, I think all of us, in addition to obviously the dysfunction that we saw throughout this entire season from a head coach that with the history that he has should not have been the leader and in charge of this basically regime that equals dysfunction, it shouldn't have happened. And so at the end of the day, I think it was time. We're moving on. Now we're basically in the head coaching. We're in the head coaching search. So look, at the end of the day, We moved on from Pete Carroll. And now we definitely got to talk about who is going to be 110% in charge of identifying and finding the next head coach. And Markdavis came out and he basically stated that Spytek, along with Tom Brady, they're going to search, identify, and hire the next head coach. And when Spytek went on and he basically stated in the presser, and he was directly asked about him and Tom Brady's collaboration, how they're going to work together, some of his answers definitely concerned me. And I'm going to bring up the clips, and we're going to talk about it. I definitely want to get you guys' feedback as well. But before we get into it, guys, let me know at the end. Let me know. I know you guys have just kind of been throwing out some head coaches. But what are your thoughts on Spytek? What are your thoughts on Spytek? Do you think John Spytek is going to be the right guy to basically capture the right head coach? Let me know in the comment section. Again, make sure you get in that comment section. We have 20 people entered into the giveaway. As long as you put a comment in the comment section, you're automatically entered that giveaway. At the end of this, we're going to hit that draw button, and we're definitely going to rock out. Again, as promised, we capture that number one. We're going to do that giveaway. So let me know, guys. What's your confidence level? Do you think Spytek is the right guy? Do you think Tom Brady is the right guy to basically identify the next head coach? Let me know in the comment section. Red or white? Harbaugh is in the winter of his coaching career. We need a coach that can go 20 plus years. That's a very good. That talks about more of that sustained success moving forward. So I'm with you on that. Rick, what's going on, brother? Appreciate you rocking up in here. You're saying what happens to Geno? Cut, trade, or June 1st cut? Need a great line. I'll talk on that real quick before I get into the Spytek thing. Obviously, if you cut Geno Smith, you're hitting. I believe it's about an $18 million dead cap hit, right? So it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough, kind of getting rid of that salary cap, because here's the thing: is the two things that make our job opening a little more attractive than others is, number one, you got yourself the number one overall draft pick. That's huge, right? So for any head coach, you either can take who you like at number one or trade back potentially and get an absolute haul. Now, the one thing I will say, which really sucks, is even though we beat Kansas City, which is great, love to see us beat Kansas City, it also kind of screwed us a little bit going into the second, third, and fourth rounds, because we basically tied 3-13 or 3-14 with three other teams in the second round. We now have the fourth pick of the second round, not the first pick, right? And so that kind of screws us a little bit with just obviously positioning, with the leverage of moving around if we want to. And so now we kind of get in this cycle, second, third, and fourth round of picking in a different spot, which sucks. I wish we could have been the number one pick in every single round. So it kind of screws us a little bit. But with that head coach, now you can come in and you have full control of that number one. In addition to that, we have 100 plus in salary cap as it stands right now. And that, I believe, that puts us at the second most salary cap going into the 2026 season. The Titans are kind of behind us a little bit, right? The Titans have a decent salary cap. They have some money to play with. They obviously have Cam Ward over there. So if you like Cam Ward, obviously Cliff Kingsbury, he just got basically fired. They came to an agreement. He's no longer with the Commanders. And so, look, I would love it if Cliff Kingsbury went over and go take that Titans job. Go take that Titans job, because the Giants, I actually didn't look into this up until a couple days ago, but the Giants have a really bad salary cap situation. Obviously, you can offload some players, you can move around a little bit and create more cap space. But as it stands right now, they have a really bad cap situation. So as much as they have Jackson Dart, they also have a really good position in this upcoming draft. Their salary cap situation is not very good. So that's not very enticing for a brand new head coach coming in. So I think it just allows our job position to be just a little more attractive than the Giants situation. Again, having that number one overall draft pick and have more salary cap. So, but to kind of go to your Geno comment, look, I think it's best that we move on from Geno. Even though you are going to take a salary cap hit, I think it's best to kind of just move on from them, clear the slate, and cut the ties. Because as much as Geno could be a good veteran to kind of be a bridge quarterback, even if you get a quarterback number one. Let's say you go get Mendoza, right? You want a veteran quarterback that can somewhat keep you competitive, right? But you want somebody that's going to teach the next quarterback. And I just don't think Geno's that guy. Not only do I don't think Geno's that guy, I don't think Geno's a great locker room guy. There's nothing coming out of that locker room that tells me there aren't comments from other players that are saying that, man, they got Geno's back and Geno's the guy and we're fighting for Geno. I heard none of that. And so no one's going to talk bad about a player inside that locker room, but when you don't go out of your way and talk good about a player, that I think that speaks volumes. And so you don't want that cancer in the locker room, especially given the fact that that's the quarterback. And so even though I'd be also in the same breath, I'd be really curious of what type of quarterback Geno would be if you take Pete Carroll out of the picture. Pete Carroll to me just felt like that helicopter parent that was going to do everything possible to protect and coddle Geno. If Geno no longer has that safety blanket, then what kind of quarterback will we get out of Geno? Maybe we can get a quarterback that minimizes the turnovers, that could help the next quarterback, that can allow us to be, just somewhat competitive in each game. Now, I've never said Geno is going to be a quarterback that can win you a game, but I thought Geno can come in and just keep you competitive. And I think Pete Carroll just coddled him way too goddamn much. Everybody was competing outside of Geno. And so I would only be curious if we did keep him on, what kind of quarterback you would get if you take Pete Carroll out of that situation. So ultimately, my opinion would be to release Geno and get rid of him because I don't think he's the type of veteran that you want to groom and prepare the next quarterback. But I would be curious as to what he would bring if you take Pete Carroll out of the situation. So that's just my take on Geno because look, he's still under contract. You're gonna need a decent amount of dead cap money if you do move on from him, and it's going to be really tough. Given the fact that your best asset is the fact that you have a lot of salary cap going in the 2026 season. Choose Finance in the building. What's going on, brother? Appreciate you popping in here. I see you, Frank. What's going on? Guys, on that Geno take, let me know if you agree or disagree with me, right? This is just my take on it. Again, if we do bring in a veteran quarterback, which we need to have a veteran quarterback in this locker room, if we go get a young rookie quarterback, you need a veteran. You need someone that's going to teach the next guy. I'd love to see us, if we draft a young quarterback, then sit him. Sit him for the majority of the season, if you can. But you need a veteran that's willing to teach the next guy. If you look at all the free agent quarterbacks that are going to be currently available this upcoming offseason, I think the best guy to possibly bring in is like a Marcus Mariota, a guy that understands his role, a guy that will be willing to teach the next guy, that understands he's a backup, but will understand his role coming in to the 2026 season. And I think he'll just try his best to keep us competitive. And the thing is, it's not about going to the playoffs next year. Could we? If it happened, would it be great? Of course. But it's just about showing progress and improvement. And if you can get us to 6 wins next year, that's great. But I want a veteran quarterback that's willing to teach the next guy. LS, breaking news. We've re-signed Stone Forsythe to a 2-year team-friendly deal to be the starting water boy. And I'm telling you right now, I'm all in for it. I'm all in for it. Hey, if he's a starting water boy, let's have some fun. Maybe he could take over Deuce Gruden's spot. I don't know. Because Deuce Gruden, bro, that guy he's been here for a while. We'll see if Deuce Gruden survives this next regime. That'll be wild. But man, if I don't hear Stone Forsythe's name ever again, it'll be a good day. Choose Finest, 805. I have something for you. There's a possibility Mendoza does not want to play for the Raiders. Interesting if he declares, yes, the top transfer portal quarterback committed to Indiana. I've said this for a few weeks now. So I think I might have said it on the live. I know I've said it to people I've talked to. I said it to a bunch of people that I was kicking it with over the weekend with all the events going on for the last game out here in the Vegas area. I said it would be wild if we capture the number 1 overall draft pick and quarterbacks basically stay in college, like Dante Moore. What if Dante Moore's agent is basically saying, hey, there's a chance you're going to go to the Raiders. Stay in college 1 more year. Get your NIL money. You're going to get money anyways. Because I think the NIL money, the contracts that college players now can get with NIL throws a wrench into this whole thing, right? In the past, college players couldn't get paid, so they would take every single chance and opportunity to get to the NFL. Get your payday. I think it's a little bit different now. And so one thing that I have said for the last at least a few weeks now is what happens if we get that number one? And those college prospects, those agents are basically saying, hey, you don't want to go to the Raiders. Go back, play one more year, and basically kind of skip this cycle of going to the NFL. Now, obviously, that would be the riskiest move ever. Look at what happened to Drew Aller, right? He goes back, he gets injured, which I do think that was a good decision by him to go back and get one more year experience. I thought that was a really good decision, but you risk injury, right? So I have said that before. I've said it for probably the last few weeks now, is that would be crazy if we capture the number one and quarterbacks decide to go back to college because they don't want to potentially get drafted by our Las Vegas Raiders. It sucks, but it puts us in that type of situation, unfortunately. But I also think, even though the college prospects, everybody has to declare, I believe, in the next couple weeks. I believe they only have a couple more weeks left until they have to officially declare for the NFL. It will remain to be seen who our head coach is. Right. And so if we miss out on some of the top tier head coaches, or we hire on a head coach that doesn't make us extremely attractive to that college prospect, I just don't know how it's going to play out, to be honest. But I do think that NIL money throws a wrench into that whole situation. Well, hey, Combos, what's going on, man? Appreciate you rocking with me. Appreciate you. Good seeing you in the building. Truth Finance, you're saying, oh, Alec M, I see you. What's going on, brother? Good seeing you in the building. You said, I hope Spytek does get it right. Yes, we're going to break down that presser here in just a second. But Truth Finance, you responded to me. Mendoza is a no-brainer at 1, but if we trade down or Mendoza doesn't declare, it's because he doesn't want to play for the Raiders. We need to prove we are a serious organization to hire a top head coach. And look, it's also, look at the two quarterback-needy teams right now. It's us and the Jets. I've always said the wild card could be the Arizona Cardinals, depending on what they do with Kyler Murray. But it's really between us and the Jets. We are the two really top quarterback-needy teams. And what college prospect looks at our organization and the Jets and go, man, I cannot wait to play for that team? It's got to be a true desire for them just to play in the NFL at this point. And so, because the Jets are just as dysfunctional as us. They're just as bad as us. So we'll see. We'll see how it plays out. But, there's going to be a lot to talk about going this offseason. Isaiah, there are no free agent vet quarterbacks available. Man, I don't know. We're using Aiden O'Connell as the bridge. You could. I'm not saying that veteran needs to come in and play. Maybe you do use Aiden O'Connell. That's fine. But you still need a veteran presence in that locker room, because you need somebody that's going to be able to teach, not just the new quarterback, but you need somebody to teach Aiden O'Connell. Aiden O'Connell's still young. Aiden O'Connell still has a lot of learning to do. So Aiden O'Connell will also benefit from a veteran presence in that locker room to teach him as well. So either way, I think you need a veteran presence to teach the next guy. And you could play Aiden O'Connell. That's perfectly fine. But get that veteran in that locker room. Troy, yes, I believe in Spytek. Do the right thing. Doing the right thing now. All right, we're going to talk about it. We are definitely going to talk about it. Make the pick like a man. No trading back. I saw you say it, Dre. No trading back. We'll touch on that for just a second. Alec, man, you're saying Signetti just signed a deal. He's not going anywhere. And look, I don't want a college quarterback. I think that this is the biggest decision that this Raiders front office is faced with in the last 20 plus years. I'm not banking on someone that has a big learning curve. Not only has he never coached in the NFL, but he's got a massive learning curve if he comes to the NFL, and I don't want that. I want someone that has an extensive history in the NFL to take on this job, so the learning curve is much shorter. That's what I want. That's why I like Clint Kubiak, but we'll talk about it a little bit. Kevin Lurker, I talk to Tom on the phone. I talk to Tom on the phone all the time. God, we're going to talk about that. You're leading into it. You're leading into it, man. Raider Hawaii, with Spytek signing Kappa and Forsythe to fix the O-line. I have mixed thoughts on him. And here's my thing, is I wonder if Kappa was more of a Tom Brady signing. I wonder if Tom Brady had a lot of influence on that. I think the Forsythe signing was more Pete Carroll because the ties that he had to Pete Carroll had to Forsythe. But Kappa could have been Spytek. But I wonder if it was more Tom Brady because the more and more I'm starting to hear like reports coming out of just all the insiders and stuff like that, there's also reports that Genty was more of a Pete Carroll and Tom Brady pick as opposed to a Spytek pick. And I'll find that report. But there was a report that was basically there was rumblings where there was a disagreement or not everybody was on the same page with that Genty pick. Which, look, I think it makes sense because you look at what the front office did when Spytek was with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Spytek saw that GM over there with the Bucks get Bucky Irving in the later rounds and get a productive running back. And so I wouldn't be surprised if Spytek, if there were some disagreements on picking Genty at number 6 overall, the reports coming out are saying that Spytek was the one that wasn't necessarily the biggest fan of that, but it was more of a Pete Carroll as well as the Tom Brady pick. So I'll find that. I'll find the report. But if that report is true, it makes sense seeing what the Bucks did in getting good production of Bucky Irving. I believe he was a 4th or 5th round draft pick. And so we'll just kind of see how that works out. And so, all right, I appreciate everybody rocking in here. I definitely wanted to get a couple of the comments in here. LS Shin, I've never heard any player, past or present, Raider or not, say anything good about Geno Smith. I know. I'm with you. I'm in silence. Silence speaks 1,000 words at times. So I'm with you. Dark in the building as well. Good seeing you in here. Saying, can we all agree Pete Carroll is senile? He is 10% of what he used to be. His 2 drug-addicted narco sons on offense also ruined Pete. Yes, I think we all, for the most part, can agree to that. But I appreciate you rocking up in here. I appreciate everybody. I see about 125 in the building. I appreciate y'all. I got 32 in the drawing right now. If you are in the building and you want to get included in this drawing, all you got to do is make a comment in the comment section, and you're automatically entered into the drawing for the giveaway. I'm going to do it at the end of the live. I got 33 in the drawing right now. So if you want to be included in it, just put a comment in the comment section, and you'll automatically be included. Also, I believe I hit it earlier today, but I've been promising a giveaway at 5,500 subscribers. I hit it earlier today. I'm going to do that on a different live probably later this week, and we'll rock out with that one as well. But today, we're doing a giveaway for locking up that number 1 overall draft pick, as promised. And so, Fred, in the building, I see you, man. Appreciate you rocking out. Let's see. Where's the flag in the building? What's going on? It's good seeing you as well. Getting in on that, on the giveaway. My 2 take Brenda Fish and Pete. Man, we're going to get everybody out of here, man. Clear this entire coaching staff. Start from scratch. Let that head coach do the hiring, man. Gene Ho got to go. I think he's going to be out of here. John, man, I appreciate you throwing out a super chat, brother. And what have I missed? Not a whole lot. Just talked a little bit of Pete Carroll, but I'm going to tap into this John Spytek presser here in just a quick minute because there's definitely some clips. I'm not showing the whole thing. I clipped up about 6 clips that I want to show, and I'm going to speak on it and just kind of my take. Because with markdavis basically stating that John Spytek, Tom Brady, they're leading the charge on identifying and hiring the next head coach. I definitely wanted to kind of give you my take on that presser from yesterday, man. But I appreciate you rocking out. I appreciate you throwing a super chat out there, man. Fred, you're saying Mariota, Winston. Look, I don't want to trade for a veteran quarterback. Mariota will be available, so I wouldn't mind bringing him in because it'll be a cheap contract, a veteran that understands his role. So I wouldn't be opposed to bringing in Mariota. Again, that's just based on what's available in free agency. And there's not a whole lot. LS, the Jameis Winston's Fernando Mendoza post-win interview with Pete families. It would be, man. Just having Jameis Winston, look, a great locker room guy without question. Yes, it would be pure comedy with having him in the building without question. Let's see, Huey, is there any coaches you want to keep like Robbie Leonard or Joe Philbin, or is it a clean the house time? Look, this is just my take. I'm kind of a clean the house. I'm I clean the house guy right now. I want to get rid of everybody because I want the head coach that we bring in to have full reign to bring in his guys. We got to do it right, in my opinion. If they like any existing coaches, then great. Hang on to them, right? If Robbie Leonard fits the scheme and the system of the defensive coordinator, then hang on to him. You know what I'm saying? To Joe Philbin, obviously with all of his experience, if he fits the offensive line scheme or any role on that offensive side, without question, keep him. But right now, I'm saying clean house and let the head coach do his due diligence to bring in the guys that he wants. Because at the end of the day, I'm a firm believer, and I've been saying this ever since. I've only had my channel since 2023, but I've been a firm believer since just the absolute mess that we saw with John Gruden as it relates to the GM situation, the draft picks, free agency, all that stuff. We need to have the proper chain of command. I hated that with Gruden. I hated it with Josh McDaniels. The GM needs to hold the head coach accountable. The only way that you can hold the head coach accountable is if you give him full reign of controlling what he's supposed to control. So that head coach needs to be able to bring in his own coaching staff, identify the guys that are going to create the foundation that you want and the direction that you are basically going to take this team, the path you're going to take this team on. And if you give him full reign, and if it's successful and they succeed, man, give him praise, and it's all on him. But if it fails miserably, then there's no excuses at that point. Same thing with John Spytek, and that's why I want to talk about Tom Brady as well. But for me, it's clean house for sure. Roland Dubs, what's going on, man? I would be good with Flacco. He can still be productive, but knows his time and almost up in the league. I wouldn't be opposed to that as well. Joe Flacco, if he's a free agent, bring him in. He would know his role, and he would be a damn good teacher to the next guy, to the young quarterback if we bring one in. I'm 100% on board with that. Fits definitely everything I would want in a veteran potential backup quarterback. And so, all right, let's see. LS, I read on Instagram, can't confirm it. Can't confirm its validity that Dante Moore's agent has reached out to the Raiders to see if he's a chance to go number one. Otherwise, he's going back to college. That's crazy. I'll definitely search as well and just kind of see if that's really going down. Because look, I'm telling you, the NIL stuff, the NIL money and everything, that's playing a massive role in some of these college players' decisions. And every single one of these college quarterbacks, I think, have an option of going back to the NFL. Even Mendoza, I believe. And so I don't even know if Mendoza has officially declared, even though there is that transfer going to Indiana next year. I don't know if he's officially declared. So we'll see. And Dixon, you're saying Pavia wants to be a Raider. Yes, he fits the mold of a Raider. But man, I can't do Pavia. If you want him as the starter, if you want to take a swing on him in the 5th or 6th round after you've already brought in a young quarterback, okay, right? I don't think that'll be the case. I don't think he'll be around. Someone will snag him up prior to, but man, to bring him in as the actual starter, man, that'd be tough, especially with his just antics that he's seen so far in the Vegas area. Now, don't get me wrong. You can find trouble wherever you are. You put money in a young kid's pocket and you want to find trouble, you'll find trouble. But Vegas is a pretty good place to find trouble. So I just got a lot of concern, especially we have to get it right. That's the thing that I have, is you have to get it right this time. We've been bad for so damn long between the head coach, match him up with the quarterback. We got to set this ship right. And I just don't want to take a chance on it. LS, you're saying Pavia is Johnny Manziel with half the talent. That's not a bad way of putting it. That's not a bad way of putting it. Raider Hawaii, if Moore stays one more year, he will not be picked at number one. That will go to Manning. Manning, man, that Chambliss kid. Again, not a lot to see, but that kid if that kid plays, he's going back. I think he's trying to go back one more year. I think he's trying to obviously go back to one more year to Ole Miss. I think he has to file for it. I don't know if it was granted yet, but that Trinidad Chambliss, again, small sample size, but you give that kid one more year, that kid could do something. Next year's quarterback class might be very, very interesting. for sure. So, John, man, throwing another super chat out there. I appreciate you, man. They need to bring back Carr and bring in Rivers. Okay. Here's the thing. I'm good with Rivers. All right. The Carr situation is just very interesting. Look, that would ruffle a shit ton of feathers. But look, you brought back Carr for 1 year on a 1-year contract to teach the next guy. Obviously, I think I don't want to buy out any contract from the New Orleans Saints. I think after this year, that contract is officially over, so I don't think we have to buy him out of that contract. But bringing him back, man, that would ruffle a shit ton of feathers. But look, you bring him in for 1 year to teach the next guy, and you know it's for 1 year. Look, I wouldn't mind it. I was never a Carr hater. I understood why you moved on from him. All right, I had no problem with moving on from Carr. I had a massive problem with not preparing right and not having a plan, because the plan was absolute crap. But I understand why you moved on from Carr, and I wasn't opposed to it. But, man, you bring him back for 1 more year, just 1 year to prep the next quarterback. I'll be real. I wouldn't be opposed to it. And maybe he'd take a real cheap, friendly contract, and we'll have a little bit of fun and bring him back for 1 more year. I wouldn't be opposed to it. Tragedy. Bring quarterback Hoyer to teach these guys. Based on what I've heard about Hoyer, I don't know, man. I heard with the whole Johnny Manziel talk and everything like that. Now, yes, Hoyer obviously knows he'll be a backup, but I don't know if I do. I don't know if I'd mess with Hoyer. Again, I think there's other names out there I would take before Hoyer. But, again, veteran guy. Hopefully he would teach the next guy. Fred Rodriguez, I don't want a college coach either. Yeah, I know. I just can't do it. I can't do a college coach at all. What up, Jeff? What's going on, brother? Appreciate you popping up in here, guys. Make sure you guys go say what's up to Jeff. Support his channel. I think Jeff let everybody know if you're going live today, or maybe I know you guys go to live tomorrow, but let me know if you guys are going live today. I'm just popping up on here. I'm going to bring up the Spytek interview, and we're going to talk about that here in just a second. Yvette, I see you. What's going on? Appreciate you popping up in here as well. John, another super chat. I appreciate you. Genty needs help. If we get hurt, we're screwed. Either Love or Price in the later rounds. We definitely need to help Genty, without question. We got to identify the offensive line, and I think we got to do it in free agency. I've been preaching it the last 2 off seasons. Identify. I think 2 years ago, my number 1 guard was Kevin Dotson. I wanted Kevin Dotson. He ended up going to the Rams. He got a massive contract with the Rams. So that was my number 1 guard that year. Last year, it was Trey Smith, but obviously the Chiefs, they brought him back, franchise tagged him. Then it was Mekhi Becton. And so, look, we just haven't addressed it. And we got to do it right this time. No more Alice Kappas. No more Cody Whitehairs. If I said his name, but no more Cody Whitehairs. We got to go after someone that is going to not just help Genty, but help keep this quarterback upright. And so we got to address it in free agency. We also have to address it in the draft. It's something I wanted to do the last 2 seasons, and we just haven't done it properly, and it's pissed me off. But we'll see if we rock out this way, man. I appreciate you throwing a super chat out there. Armando, I see you in the building. What's going on, man? Appreciate you rocking out. Yvette, thank you very much for the super chat. We're going in the right direction. Let's go, Raiders. We're going the right direction. It started out with the firing of Pete Carroll. We got the number 1 draft pick. That was checkbox number 1. The number 1 draft pick. Checkbox number 2, fire Pete Carroll. Checkbox number 3, get, in my opinion, an offensive-minded head coach. I'm a big Clint Kubiak guy. We got to get somebody that's gonna set this ship off right. And so we'll see how that works out, and we'll see just kind of how that moves. So, but I appreciate you. I appreciate you throwing a super chat out there. And again, guys, as long as you guys put a comment in the chat, you guys are automatically entered into the giveaway that I'm going to hit you with at the end of this live. I got 45 so far in that giveaway. Entered in that giveaway. Got over 130 people in the chat or in the live right now between here and Twitter. If you're on Twitter, head over to YouTube, Real Talk Raider Nation. Get involved in this giveaway. Again, promised you guys a giveaway to kick off this number 1 draft pick. I'm also going to do a giveaway for hitting 5,500 subscribers. So I definitely appreciate y'all. And I appreciate the super chats. Thanks, man. Again, I will do a giveaway at that 5,500. I'll probably do one later in the week, man. Larry in the building as well. What's going on? Let's see. Lord Rachitas, good seeing you. Apparently, the old line met with Gino and Genty to go over the blocking without Brennan. That's what I heard. And I heard Spytek was involved in that as well. And so we'll see. We'll see just kind of how it works out. Yeah, Jeff, I appreciate you being a member, but also throwing the congrats out, man. Yeah, I appreciate it. Look, doing the videos definitely helped the subs, but I wanted to do more lives. I want to do more lives and just kind of connect one-on-one, doing solos. I do my lives with Severe in the Raider War Room and Chris, Protect Show podcast, and I love doing it. But sometimes I also like to kind of go on solo, and it takes a lot of time, especially breaking down the game film during the season. That takes a lot of time. So it took away from me doing my individual videos, but I'm doing shorts now. It allows me to kind of just get my opinions out there, but I definitely like to come on and do the one-on-one solo lives as well. And so it definitely took away from me doing the videos, but I enjoy this just as much. So, but I'm glad to see you in here. Appreciate you being a member. Appreciate all the members. But I'm glad to see you getting involved in that giveaway as well. Almond Glaze in the building. Mendoza, Kubiak could be a great combo for a lot of years. A second option should be maybe Gino and Art Shell. Oh man, that'd be wild. That'd be wild. Art Shell would be least get the O-line right. Maybe. Where's the flag? Maybe. All right. Raider Cujo, appreciate you rocking up in here. All right. I see Tony in here as well. What's going on, man? Appreciate you rocking up in here. All right. Let's get into this. All right. Everybody else, appreciate you. I see a couple of people in the chat, but I want to get into this part of the live. I want to break down this interview, or the presser that Spytek had, and he addressed really some of his relationship and the involvement that Tom Brady is going to have. And because Mark Davis came out and said that both of them are going to steer this ship, I want to talk about it. So again, 47 people right now entered into the giveaway. Guys, if you want to get included, definitely put a comment in the chat. That's all you got to do in order to get included. And at the very end of this, we're going to hit that draw button, and we're going to have a little bit of fun. So let me share the screen. I picked out about 6 clips of the presser. I'm going to play it. They're not very long, anywhere between 30 seconds to a minute, not very long. And I'm going to kind of give you my feedback on it. And I want to hear you guys' feedback as well. A couple of them address the offensive line. One clip addresses Maxx Crosby. We're going to talk about that as well. But some of the reporters asked about really just how much involvement Tom Brady is going to have and what involvement Spytek expects Tom Brady to have. And we're going to talk about that as well. So let me go ahead. I'm going to share the screen. Make sure the audio is on. Let me go. Bang. We're going to do it this way. Let me go ahead and take this down again. I appreciate everybody rocking out in the building with me. I'm going to play this. Guys, give me a thumbs up. Let me know that you guys do hear the audio. I apologize if I did not get to anybody else's comments, but I want to jump into this, and I'll definitely hit that hashtag Raiders if you have a comment towards what I'm talking about or the clip on the screen. So I'm going to play this. Guys, let me know the audio is good. Let me play it, and then I'll rewind it.
Ashton, when you build out your offensive line moving forward, how much will you?
All right, guys, give me that thumbs up. Just someone give me a thumbs up. I want to know that you guys could hear that audio. I'm going to kind of explain the first one. And so the first one, this clip, basically, the reporter's going to ask about Genty. And Yvette, thank you very much. Larry, thank you for giving that a thumbs up. Nabman, appreciate you. Appreciate you being in here. It's good seeing you, putting a comment in there. You're automatically entered into the potential giveaway at the end of this. A reporter's going to ask about just how John Spytek is going to kind of address the offensive line. Obviously, with Genty just kind of struggling, mainly due to the offensive line, the poorly just addressed offensive line in free agency and potentially the draft. They want to basically talk about, they asked the question, how he's going to address it. And he explains it, but there's a comment that he says a couple times during this presser that kind of concerns me a little bit, and I definitely want to talk about that. So I'm going to play this all the way through, and then we'll talk about it.
You mentioned building around Ashton. When you build out your offensive line moving forward, how much will you take into consideration the experience in those offensive linemen?
We're gonna attack this entire offseason with an extremely open mind, and anybody that can help bolster that offensive line and do the job required will be considered. We have a lot of capital cap space. We've got some elite draft picks, and maybe adding a veteran presence in there or two would be helpful, but not necessarily an absolute necessity. We're not going to begin with the end in mind.
All right, so I'm going to start with, obviously, we need to address it in free agency. So, guys, let me know, do you want us to address the offensive line in free agency, and who do you like? I know a lot of people are throwing out Linderbaum out there. Let me know if there's somebody in the free agent class that you want to address, hit that hashtag Raiders if you can. I'll definitely try to bring it up. But he obviously, with the cap space, we have to be able to address this offensive line free agency. We have missed it between, again, I'm going to say his name one more time, and I swear to God, I hope I don't have to say it again. Cody Whitehair, 2 off seasons ago, horrible way of addressing the offensive line. This year, Alice Kappa. But the one thing that he said is at the very tail end of that, and at the same time, he says it again in another response later in the presser, is that they're not going to begin with the end in mind. So they're basically not going to be trying to address the beginning, the starting point of developing the offensive line with the end in mind. And he says this later in the presser. And the thing that really concerns me about that. Now, mind you, yes, like you need to have the ability to adapt. You need to have the ability to adjust as things go on. But you also have to begin the process with the ultimate goal in mind. You have to have a goal. And by Spytek basically saying that he's beginning the process without the end in mind, it does concern me a little bit. Now, I could be nitpicking a little bit, but again, for some of you guys that don't know, I've played this game for 15 years. I coached it for 23 years. And I've had so many communications with coaches, basically all the way up to the high school as well as the college level. I never coached at the college level. I ended off at the high school level between California and Texas. But the thing is, when you talk to coaches, you have to start the process, but you also have to have a goal in mind. You have to understand or have a picture of what the end process looks like. Yes, you need to adapt. You need to be able to have the flexibility to adjust throughout the process. But if you don't have the end in mind, if you don't have the big picture in mind, then you don't know what the steps are in the very beginning. And that's just kind of, again, I might be overthinking it, but he said that a couple times in this presser that it kind of irked me a little bit. And so that's one clip. And again, it's good to hear that, yes, they need to address the offensive line. It's good that he's mentioning that we have the salary cap to basically go after it and address it. And so now I'm saying free agency class is not clear yet. No, it's not. There definitely still needs to be, there's going to be chances for teams to prioritize. There's going to be 5th-year options going to be thrown out there. So, yes, it's not clear just yet. But you can definitely throw some names out there. We definitely can identify some players. Bill in the building. Yes, free agency for the O-line. Definitely. 100% agree. Yvette, I appreciate you becoming a member. Thank you very much. Also, appreciate a little super chats that you guys are throwing out there. Rick, you're saying we need to do both to fix the O-line, free agency and the draft. I do agree, without question. Where's the flag? Lamar with home field advantage in the dome is a Super Bowl ring. All right, are you guys talking about Lamar Jackson potentially coming over here? I think, is that what you guys are talking about? Then Kevin Lurker. Linderbaum works for me. Yes. Now, I know that they didn't bring him back with through his 5th-year option. Now that John Harbaugh is gone, it'd be very interesting to see just kind of what happens within that roster, right? Because you're going to want to now bring in somebody as a head coach that's going to want to mold this team in whatever way works for them. So, but it would be kind of foolish not to bring back Linderbaum. But with a head coaching regime change, you just now know you just don't know what's going to happen. So Linderbaum is definitely going to be a name to watch out for sure. Dre, not paying a center when we have one on the roster. All right, so if you're thinking JPJ goes back to center, that's what I'm assuming, and so we'll definitely see. Omega XL, you're saying that JPJ will be back at center. Don't need a Linderbaum, get a vet tackle instead. So that's going to be definitely something that I think is going to be up for speculation, right? Does JPJ move back to center? The one thing I will add with that is I think a lot is going to be dependent on who we bring as a head coach and who's ultimately going to be the offensive play caller. Who's going to be the offensive coordinator? What kind of run scheme are they going to want to bring into this offense, right? Are they going to be more of a power run scheme? Are they going to be more of a zone run scheme? I definitely want to know who our offensive coordinator is going to be before we kind of see what type of offensive lineman do we want to bring into this building. So, for example, I'll give you guys a really good example. If we bring an offensive coordinator that is more of a power run scheme, which in my opinion, I think Genty would work much better in a power run scheme. If you can get Genty downhill and all he has to do is kind of make that one cut and go, I think it'll help him with his running style. But if you bring in a power run scheme, then as much as I'm a fan of Jordan Meredith, because I think Jordan Meredith did a very good job 2 years ago, you move him to center this year, it really messed with his ability to be effective, given the fact that he's never played center before. But also, Jordan Meredith is not a big offensive lineman. He's more technique based, and so I wouldn't be necessarily a fan of bringing Jordan Meredith back if you went more power run scheme. I want more of a big mauler. You know what I'm saying? And so JPJ could be a mauler at the guard position. And so maybe you bring back, or maybe you bring in a center and you keep JPJ at guard, knowing that he could be pretty good at a power run scheme. So for myself, I'm just really waiting to see who our offensive play caller is going to be and what type of run scheme do they bring into this building. That's going to be a big role, play a big role as to who I want to bring on. They said no one said he didn't win. He wants to win. He has won lately with the talent he has now in the playoffs. Okay, I think you guys may be going back with Harbaugh, I think. Let's see. Rocky in the building. What's going on, man? You got good credit. I appreciate it. I appreciate it. And one of the guys that I coached with in Texas, he sometimes pops into the chat as well, man. Shout out to him. Haven't seen him since I moved to the Vegas area from Texas. And so shout out to him. Let's see. Oh, in the building. What's going on, man? I just want to see if there's any responses to that comment. Let's see. Yvette, you're saying free agency. I think you're saying address it in free agency. We need some veteran players for the O-line. One thing I definitely will say to that is I wanted us to bring in a veteran offensive guard last year. One, obviously, I wasn't a fan of Parham. I don't think Parham was the solution. I think Parham needed to be a backup. And he had no reason, no place of being a starter on this offensive line. But in addition to bringing in a veteran and replacing Parham, because we actually saw some progress at the end of 2024 with our offensive line, I would have loved to see you plug a veteran guard in between JPJ at center and DJ Glaze at our right tackle. And now you have a veteran that's going to help two young second-year offensive linemen in their development into the NFL. Like, that's why you bring in a veteran, not just because you can anchor this offensive line and add a veteran presence, but now you have somebody that could help the development of your two young offensive linemen that showed promise at the end of 2024. And so it served two purposes. And that's why, yes, you brought in Alice Kappa, but Alice Kappa was statistically the worst guard last year in the National Football League. So addressing it that way made no sense at all. So that's what made it really tough for me. Now, man, appreciate the super chat. You're saying clearly Harbaugh fired tells me Lamar stays, and so does the center Linderbaum. Can probably take that center off your radar now. Got to go get a head coach first then. Maybe. I think if Harbaugh stays, yes, I think Lamar stays. I'd be really curious who they hire on as that head coach, right? I'm a big Clint Kubiak guy, so that's another job opening that is now available that could take away that Clint Kubiak that I want. And so now, mind you, I don't know, maybe it's Cliff Kingsbury. Who knows? Like, Cliff Kingsbury really liked Jaden Daniels. That was one of the more enticing things for him to potentially come over to us, because there was a chance with Jaden Daniels' connections with Antonio Pierce. Maybe there was a chance, there was rumors we might have traded up for him. Who knows? Right? But I think that's what helped Clint Kubiak just entertain potentially being over here, but ultimately he left, right? Went to the Commanders, and he liked Jaden Daniels. Jaden Daniels and Lamar Jackson, very similar traits in just that quarterback position. So with Cliff Kingsbury and the Commanders parting ways, does that mean Cliff Kingsbury, you're only going to part ways if you know there's a job potentially ready for you? I don't think there's any reason why the Commanders would move on from Cliff Kingsbury at this point. I don't know why. And I don't know if it would necessarily be a lateral move. So maybe Cliff Kingsbury maybe maybe he saw that job opening potentially happening with the Ravens, and maybe he goes over there. I don't know. Again, just similarities in that quarterback play that kind of aids to what Cliff Kingsbury likes to do. We'll see. Hopefully he goes over there. That's one less enticing job to steal Clint Kubiak. So again, because that's just my guy. So, but man, Naman, I appreciate you throwing a super chat out there. Seven Sons. I can't believe people are like, nah, I'm good on Harbaugh. What does he want? Are you kidding me? Look at the dude's record. It's stellar. Look, he definitely has a good record. He definitely, if you want somebody that is going to be able to build something, I think Harbaugh has a very good name and a very good track record of just building something. Now, obviously, it's kind of fallen off. He really hasn't finished the job the last handful of years, and so it is tough. But the experience, you can't deny that. But I just lean more towards I want to go young. I want to go offensive minded for a lot of reasons. And I got a clip. We're gonna talk about here in just a second. Larry, we need an O-line coach so we know what blocking scheme style we'll be implementing. JPG at center, power block scheme, and maybe some zone blocking. And I'm 100% with you. And I think it just kind of reiterates what I just said. So I think we're on the same page. Raider 209. Got to get a right tackle in free agency. I'm with you. Well, that's the hard part is just how much was the inefficiencies of this offensive line due to Brendan Carroll, because reports are just coming out today that there was a horrible situation in that offensive line room, and it stemmed from Brendan Carroll. So what happens if you get a good offensive line coach in there, and now DJ Glaze can kind of improve on and get back to what he showed at the tail end of 2024? What happens if JPJ, because JPJ didn't look amazing before he got hurt. He had his up and down games as well. So that's just the question is what happens if we get a good offensive line coach and now DJ Glaze can improve off of what he saw at the end of 2024? Because we saw improvement with DJ Glaze. And again, I'm not saying you're right or wrong. I'm just saying this is what's going to make this offseason very difficult to evaluate because I think more and more reports are going to come out on just how bad and dysfunctional that O-line room was, and that started with Brendan Carroll. So it's going to be tough. John in the building. What's going on, man? 805, we have a chance. Man, we have a chance, man. Clint Kubiak wanted to coach Bowers back in 2024. We have a chance. Let's go. I hope so, man. I hope so. Judo Joe, what's going on, brother? I appreciate you popping up in here as well. Let's see. All right. Okay. Let me get to the next clip. All right. We just talked about one clip. Let me get to the next one real quick. Again, these clips are about 30 seconds to a minute. That first one, remember that comment that Spytek just said. He's not going to start the beginning with the end in mind. I think that's kind of you got to know what your goal is in order to understand how to start the beginning and the steps that you need to take. And I think that's, again, might be just overanalyzing, but at the end of the day, I think that's going to be a tough one to kind of evaluate. And he says it again. Nah, man, throwing a super chat. I appreciate you. Makes me wonder if Ravens front office already has a head coach now. Monken is obviously gone according to ESPN. Package deal elsewhere. Okay, hey, nah, man, let me know where Monken went, because Monken was actually my first thought. I thought that Monken might actually get the head coaching job. But again, Monken is on the older side, so I don't know if they wanted to basically start that process with him. But I agree. I think you only let Harbaugh go if you know exactly who that next man is. Again, that made me lean, are they looking internally? Maybe there's already somebody there. Maybe it's Monken. But again, Monken is up there in age. Maybe, I hope it's a Cliff Kingsbury. Just snag him up, end the head coaching search, and now that's one less team Clint Kubiak can go to. But yeah, I thought that was my first thought was there might be an internal move in the plans, man. But I appreciate you throwing a super chat out there, brother. Jeff, you're saying Harbaugh 63 years old. I want youth at the head coach and offensive-minded head coach. And we're going to talk about that because John Spytek has asked that question, and I want to definitely tap into with that. LS, I can see a world where Stafford retires if they win the Super Bowl and the Rams trade for Lamar. Possibly. I just don't know how Lamar matches up with McVay's offense, because Lamar, I think, feels like a very different quarterback than what McVay has liked in the past. Definitely. Obviously Lamar is a very an elite talent, and there's a lot you can do with them. So I wouldn't be surprised if that did happen. I just don't know if McVay kind of goes after that type of quarterback, because I think all his other quarterbacks have been very different a little bit. But you could be right. You could be right. Where's the flag? Browns requested an interview with Monken. Got it. Okay. All right. Well, man, we'll see. And I know a lot of people, Stefanski. People are throwing Stefanski out there. Again, Stefanski, go get another job. Occupy another head coaching position, head coaching job, so Clint Kubiak can still be available. Man, reports are the reason Harbaugh was fired is because he refused to fire Todd Monken. Oh, that's interesting. Which again, maybe that's in line with the reports that Monken is potentially going to interview with the Browns. So we'll see, man. All right, let's see. LS, you're saying McVay can make anything work. I do agree. I do agree that with his offensive mind, he can make anything work. So I don't disagree there. Just Win Baby, appreciate you rocking up in here. Quarterback coach Clint Kubiak is tailor-made for Mendoza and Raiders. We should make that happen. I'm crossing my fingers. Lord Rachitas in the building. What's going on? Appreciate you rocking with me. Okay, let's get to the next clip. Again, I only got about a handful more, but I definitely want to get through this. At the end of this, we're doing that giveaway. We might talk a little bit of head coach if I don't talk too much, and we'll do that giveaway. We'll have a little bit of fun. All right, so let's go to the next one real quick. This one is about trading Maxx. He was asked about just the potential of trading Maxx, and this was Spytek's response, and I want to get your guys' feedback on it. Do me a favor. Hit that hashtag Raiders if you're going to respond to this clip and get some feedback. Let me know. All right, here we go.
John, obviously once...
Okay, sorry, behind the
once the offseason commences, obviously a lot of teams around the league will inquire about Maxx Crosby in a trade. Do you view him as a untradeable, untouchable player moving forward once the offseason starts?
I have a lot of respect for Maxx and how much he loves to play the game. And I've had the opportunity in the last several weeks to spend a lot of time with Maxx. And I think it's been well documented that he didn't love the idea of not playing football. And I think you always want that from your best players. In fact, I think that's why they're your best players. So I love Maxx. He embodies what a Raider is. I've been pretty upfront with that from the day that I sat up here almost a year ago. And I continue to believe that.
Okay, so that sums up just kind of how he answered the question regarding the Maxx Crosby situation. I'm going to get a couple of the comments in here. I'm seeing it. Where's the flex saying F them picks? I'm assuming you mean that towards trading away Maxx Crosby. Isaiah, you're saying he didn't say no. You're absolutely right. And LS, you kind of responded to the McVay stuff. I can also see the Rams going after Burrow. McVay and Burrow would be a dynasty in the waiting, and that would make a million times more sense to me. Burrow just seems like a McVay guy, so I'm 100% with you on that. Joshua in the building, appreciate you throwing a super chat out there, brother, man. I heard rumors Maxx and Brady don't have the greatest relationship. I truly believe Maxx is getting traded. I haven't heard the reports, man. That would be crazy if we do hear more on that, or if reports definitely come to light. Here's my thing: is you look at Maxx contract. It's a very, very tradable contract. The moment we extended Maxx Crosby, and I saw the details of the contract, I posted a video that same exact day, basically stating that was a genius move by John Spytek, beating the market of all the edge rushers. All right, that was my first thought when I saw the contract, and so I posted a video right away, just kind of giving my take on it. And so it's a very tradable contract. Here's the thing. If we draft a quarterback, number one, and I think a lot of us can agree, we are in full-blown rebuild mode. All right? And we're going to talk about head coach in just a second. If we're full-blown rebuild mode, and Maxx has just a couple more years truly on his contract, the thing is are we going to have the best Maxx by the end of this rebuild? By the time we are fighting for that Super Bowl, right? You got to be, I guess, kind of realistic with the process, right? We may not be fighting for a Super Bowl for the next maybe 3 years, right? Next year, you sit your rookie quarterback, you let them learn. The following year, you might get yourself to maybe 7-8 wins. The following year after that, maybe you make playoffs. You try to make a little bit of a run. And so by that time, Maxx is no longer with us. By that time, you get no value out of Maxx at all because his contract might be up. You might end up trading him away 2 years from now. And at that point, you don't get the value that you get this year. And the value that Maxx can bring, even if he doesn't withstand an entire rebuild, you can take those draft picks and build around your franchise quarterback. Again, if that's the plan. If you pick a quarterback, number one, you pick that quarterback at number one because you think he's going to win you a Super Bowl. It's not like picking a quarterback in the second round or third round. It's not like picking a quarterback, number 20 overall in the first round. When you pick a quarterback number one overall, your expectation is that quarterback is going to be the next quarterback for the next 12 to 15 years and is going to win you Super Bowls. Is going to bring you a dynasty. And to me, that means you do everything you possibly can to build around that quarterback. And if that means to move on from Maxx and acquire more draft capital and continue to build around that quarterback, then I would be 110% open to it. Reason being is because a lot of people bring up the John Gruden situation where John Gruden started to see some success. Now, I disagreed a lot with what John Gruden did. And even though you did see slow success and progression through his record, the thing is he failed so bad in the draft and he missed a lot in free agency. The Antonio Brown situation, the Corey Littletons, like he missed so bad in free agency that when you miss in the draft, that's not going to allow you to have sustained success. You can build through free agency, but when you build through free agency, that means that you're going to potentially find yourself, you might get a playoff win. But those contracts run thin. And if you can't build through the draft, then you can't build sustained success. You cannot build sustained success through free agency. You just can't. It doesn't happen. And that's what I think John Gruden tried to do, and he failed so miserably through the draft, is that, yeah, he might have made the playoffs once, but it would have ran thin real quick, and that success would have ran dry because he missed so much in the draft. And so, again, for me, if we go number one and we pick a quarterback, or number two, all right, or number two, you got to build through the draft and you got to create the foundation through the draft for this upcoming quarterback. And that's when I'm not saying trade Maxx. I'm saying that opens up the door to basically start fielding phone calls, and I'd be open to it. So that's just my take on the Maxx situation. Let's see. Rocky, you're saying you're freaking hyped for this insider leak about the dysfunction this last season. I know. If that leak comes out, that'd be wild. That would be crazy if it does. Dixon, he also said that he wants to keep his best players just being a politician. And I 100% agree, because in the beginning of his tenure last year, he said that when he extended Maxx, he said, you don't let guys like that go out, leave the building, right? And so especially edge rushers. And the one thing I will add to it, edge rushers don't grow on trees, right? I've said this before, some of the hardest positions to identify and be able to get kind of top 5 success out of is quarterback, left tackles, number 1 corners, and edge rushers. Those are some of the hardest to identify and be able to get top 5 potential out of. And so edge rushers don't grow on trees. And so you have to have a really good plan in place if you want to move on from somebody like Maxx Crosby. And so, again, that's why I'm not saying do it, but at the same time, I'll be fielding phone calls if you pick a quarterback at number 1 overall and you plan for that guy to be the guy, to be your next, let's say, Patrick Mahomes or whatever it may be. You start building. You build through the draft to have sustained success. LS. It's a great answer by Spytek. It leaves you feeling warm and fuzzy, but he didn't answer the question. It's a great way of answering the question without answering the question. I 100% agree. Tony, you're saying he didn't say like most GMs would say, doesn't want to paint painting himself into a corner. 100%. You're absolutely right. Again, he answered it without truly answering it. Bill, you're saying he dodged the question very well. Yes, he did. He did. Max and you said Seventh. You're saying Max and Brady have an off-field business relationship outside of football, from what I understand. So it'd be odd if they really didn't get along. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see if reports come out, just kind of how that works. But shutting him down at the tail end of the season, and again, yeah, Spytek going from you don't let edge rushers leave the building to kind of answering the question without answering the question. It's definitely going to get interesting. If Max wants to go, he's a Raider. He definitely is, and at the end of the day, as long as you understand it's a business, then you're okay with moving on from players if it makes sense. If it makes sense. And that's hard for me to say, because when we moved on from Khalil Mack, I was probably one of them, along with the rest of the nation, I was probably the most bitter person in the world when we moved on from Khalil Mack. And I think that's a different situation than now. It's very different. But again, depending on how this offseason goes about, man, I wouldn't be opposed to filling some phone calls. Judo, aren't Max and Brady in business together outside of football? I don't know. Let me know. I don't know. Let's see, Rick, you're saying trade Max for the first and a second. Man, if we trade Max, I'd love to get at least 2 first. Now, the minor surgery that he has to have on his knee, I have no clue how that's going to affect his trade value. If it drops a little bit, I'd love to see us get 2 firsts out of Max if possible. I don't know if that's me overvaluing Max. Guys, let me know. Chat, let me know. What do you think we can get out of Max? Do you think it's 2 firsts? I'd love to get 2 firsts. If you can get it, and I'll be real. It's all about the situation. It's all about how you methodically kind of move around the draft. Imagine if you traded and you went to number 2 and someone came up and got a defensive player, and you still have Mendoza, you still have Dante Moore on the board, and you trade back and you still get a decent haul, moving back just a little bit, and you still have a pick of whatever quarterback you want. Then at that point, I'm trading Max and I'm getting additional 2027 draft. I'm getting 2027 draft, get maybe two first round draft picks next year. Maybe a 2027 pick next year and 2 seconds. I don't know how I'd exactly work it, but God, man, build up a bunch of draft capital this year and then build up additional draft capital in 2027. Just get a haul in 2027, really, really start to build this thing. But again, it's all about being creative. It's about being creative and managing the draft, not just kind of getting that shiny object. Tony, you're saying Max, Brady, Jim Gray are all in business off the field. Got it. I wasn't aware of that. I appreciate everybody kind of throwing that out there. Ricky saying get value while you can. Raider White, every draft there's a Maxx Crosby to be picked. I don't know if I'll be real. I don't know if edge rushers kind of grow on trees like that. I'll be honest. I don't know if there's a Max in every single draft. I know that there's kind of the shiny object every year, right? You think that there's going to be players that look or perform like a Max or something like that. Max is very unique in what he brings to the table. And so I think everybody does think that there is that shiny object or that replacement in the draft. But I'm a firm believer that edge rushers, they really don't grow on trees. It's hard to get that type of production out of an edge rusher because, look, you could probably count on one hand on how many top 5 edge rushers there are consistently, and then everybody else kind of falls in line and kind of gets bunched in the same conversation. And so I'm not sure if you're instantly going to find someone like Max, but again, I'd be willing to move on from him to continue to build the foundation around a first overall draft pick that potentially is a quarterback. So again, but just my opinion. Rare News Central, appreciate you popping up in here. LS, man, I appreciate you with the super chat. Max only cares about his stats and Hall of Fame status. If he truly cared about winning long term, he wouldn't have thrown a tantrum and missed the 2 games. I agree with that because him being so pissed off about sitting those last 2 games, it is more about padding his stats. I'm not sure if it was more about him being there for his players, if you or his teammates. If he was truly there for his teammates, he never would have left the locker room. And LS, I know you've heard me go live and talk on this, is that for me, if being there for his teammates was the number one priority, he was given that news prior to practice. And so you don't just storm the building and get out of there. then you could be pissed off, but you stay there for your teammates. You stay there for the guys in that locker room because you obviously didn't need surgery right away. All right, there obviously with the photos and the video on social media of him on the trampoline and doing the shoot around stuff, you should have stayed. Now he returned to practice the next day, right, and was there for his teammates. But I'm with you. At the end of the day, I think he's more just pissed off that he didn't get an opportunity to pad his stats, and he kind of just he stormed out the locker room. And be there for your teammates, be there for that locker room, and support you guys. That's just my opinion. But I'm with you. I do think he is. Those last 2 games was all about padding his stance. Megalodon, what's going on, man? Appreciate you popping up here in the building. I see also Omega XL. Appreciate you rocking with me. Again, if you guys have something related to the clip, hit that hashtag Raiders. I definitely want to bring it up. Lauren in the building. Al gave us the blueprint. Use it. I don't know if that same blueprint works nowadays exactly, but obviously L was one of a kind for sure. Big John, you're saying Max isn't going anywhere. He may not. He may. I'm just kind of giving you my perspective as to what I'd be open to depending on what we see. Radiant in the building. I think Spytek learned from his first season how bad the team's depth is, and you can't always play nice with the head coach. We'll see. We'll see in this second stint. We will definitely see for sure. House Junkies, it's all about protecting the shield. Raider management, make it happen next season. Rocky, I want team's entire draft minus the number 1 pick for the next 2 years from Max. Is that too much to ask? Hey, you could definitely ask it. I'm not sure if it'll work that way. Tony, trading Max is not the answer. Plus, his contract is not that bad compared to top DNs. I'm with you. Look, I'm with you. You know, it's not necessarily the answer, but I'm definitely open to options depending on what goes on. Enviet in the building, 2 firsts and a third. 2 firsts and a third wouldn't be too bad. I'd definitely entertain it for sure. Judo Joe, 2 firsts at minimum. I want at least 4 picks. And yes, I would not move on from Max without 2 firsts. That's what I would want without question. Anything in addition to that is great, but I wouldn't move on without 2 firsts. Rare True 9. Max ain't going anywhere. LS, I'd only take a single first. I'd only take a single first from Max if it's a top 12 this year. And that's also a very good point, right? It's also make sure you trade with somebody that is also going to give you the value in the draft, right? So if you trade for somebody that picks in the back half of the draft, that value just isn't as good, right? So you definitely want to trade with somebody that's picking, top 12, top 10. That's where the value of that first round draft pick it definitely holds its weight. Raider Hawaii, he's not letting him walk out the door. He's carrying him out for number 1. He's carrying out for number 1 picks. Nah, man. Appreciate you throwing a super chat out there. All right, the funny part. The reporters are actually asking the hard questions. Wait, what? Pete gone for 5 seconds and suddenly the reporters are better. Damn. They did definitely ask some very good questions. We're gonna tap into the rest of it. We only got a couple more clips, and then I want to give you my feedback because these next clips is when he really starts to dive into the details. And the reporters ask the hard questions about Tom Brady and how much presence he's going to have in the process, given the fact that markdavis said it's going to be both a team effort between Spytek and Tom Brady. But, man, I appreciate you throwing a super chat out there. Again, where's the flag? Max averages 10 sacks and 53 pressures a season. Man, and 40 tackles for losses. He goes. He does. And, look, he's a damn good edge rusher, right? He's one of the best in the business, without question. So, definitely got to get the value out of it for sure. Yeah, where's the flag again? Yeah, 40 tackles for loss is great. Yes, it is. Let's see. All right, Isaiah, you're saying we need to draft another pass rusher this year, regardless if we keep Max or not. I do agree with that. I wanted to get an edge rusher starting in the 4th round of last year. We didn't do it. We waited until basically the undrafted free agents with Ja Joyner. And why we didn't address the edge rushing room with the fact that Malcolm Kuntz, you just didn't know how he was going to recover off that injury, boggled my mind. And that's why we did in the mock drafts last offseason. I wanted to make sure that I addressed the edge rushing room, and we just didn't do it. Raider, Bebop and Bill, I don't think our talent was so bad until we let so many players walk, like Spillane amongst others. That made us have too many new players trying to gel. And that is hard. That is hard in the very beginning when you have such a massive turnover. These players got to come in the locker room and now they got to learn the scheme. And that's the one reason why when we retained Patrick Graham, I wanted to make sure that Robert Spillane stayed in the building. Now, I like Atlanta Roberts. I want to bring back Atlanta Roberts. But the reason why I wanted Robert Spillane is because he was the green dot guy. He understood Patrick Graham's system, and he could do a very good job of being an extra coach on the field to help teach and relay the message that Patrick Graham wants with the rest of this defense. And so that's why I wanted to prioritize Robert Spillane. I wanted us to bring him back. And unfortunately, the Patriots did basically everything I wanted to do between free agency and the draft, which was tough. So, but yeah, Robert Spillane would have been nice to have. And so, Dre, you like Bane or Bailey? Look, I got my concerns with Bane. We'll definitely tap into that. Bailey definitely looks like a good pure pass rusher. I do have a little bit of concern on just his ability to kind of play the run support a little bit. Again, I have to do a ton more research, which I will, but those are just my instant concerns a little bit. I think Bane as an edge rusher might get stalemated a lot against the athletic offensive tackles he's going to face. I think he's more of a 3-tech. I think he's got to play inside a little bit more, but I got to do more research, and I will. But I definitely have just a little bit of concern with Bane. Let's see, Rocky. Remember when the Saints traded away the entire draft for pot smoking Ricky Williams? That was what I wanted for Mac. I do remember that for sure. All right, let's see. Yes, where's the flag? I appreciate it. Let's get to the next one. All right, let's get to the next one. What up, Sacktown? Good seeing you in here, man. I'm going to be doing the giveaway at the tail end of this, man. It's good seeing you in the build, and hopefully you stick around. Definitely get you in that one, man. All you have to do is make a comment. You're automatically included. So appreciate you rocking. All right, let's go to the next clip. Again, do me a favor. Hit the hashtag Raiders. Hit the hashtag Raiders. If you guys have a comment or anything to the clip, just got a few more. Again, just the presser with Spytek. It'll come up in just a second.
Sorry, I know you was mentioned about sustained success. How important would stability be for that to achieve that vision, sustained success? Since this organization has been dealing with coaching changes year in, year out, just how important would stability be in terms of achieving that goal of yours?
I think as the NFL goes, it's important, but this is a largely unstable world we live in. Even when you're good, you have instability because your coordinators take off on you. I mean, there's a couple teams that were great last year and they lost some really good coaches, and it hasn't worked out as well for them this year. So we're always battling every year. It feels like every game, every week, every year you're battling. And so, it'll be built organizationally. We want to define what it means to be a Raider. We want people that are excited to be a Raider. We think that this is an exciting job. And we want people where it means a little bit more to be a Raider. And I think when we can find that, we can find those people that are dying to stay here, dying to come here, dying not to leave here, then, that success with some stability will be created.
Sorry.
Okay, so this is pure speculation, okay? But because I lean more offensive-minded head coach, that's what I'd like to see us bring in as an offensive-minded head coach. I know some people have talked about defensive-minded head coaches. When John Spytek talks about sustained success, and this is kind of the point that I've been making, the reason why I want to go offensive-minded head coach is because if you bring in a defensive-minded head coach, and that defensive-minded head coach has to bring in an offensive coordinator, and you find success, and you start to see the offense kind of hit on all cylinders, there's a really good chance that offensive coordinator is now going to leave the building. And now you find yourself in a situation where you're going to continue to have to teach and learn a massive investment in a first-round quarterback. If that's where we go, they're going to have to continue to learn a new system over and over and over again. And that's what I don't want. Really good example, and this was actually something that I stated last offseason, is this year is going to determine really how good Dan Campbell is. Because Dan Campbell did a hell of a job at turning around the Rams. Did a hell of a job. But the problem that he's going to face is when you find success and then you lose your coordinators. And look at what happened with Ben Johnson. All right, Ben Johnson left for the Chicago Bears, and now Dan Campbell had to find a brand new offensive coordinator. And he ended up firing his offensive coordinator. He ended up taking play calling duties over halfway through the season. I don't want to see that happen with us. And with John Spytek kind of alluding to that and saying that even when you have success, you see coordinators leaving the building. You see coordinators finding other jobs elsewhere. My hope is that he fully understands that if you do go get a quarterback early and you want to build a foundation around a quarterback, that it's best to match up that quarterback with an offensive-minded head coach so you don't run the risk of having that switch up of scheme and having that quarterback to have to learn a different scheme year in and year out. Sorry, not year in, year out, but every 3 years or so. So again, for me, I hope that that's what he's alluding to, is that he understands that even with success, you will have a revolving door with coaches. But the best thing is that if, again, I'm just going to throw my own scenario out there. If we do bring on someone like a Clint Kubiak and you find yourself hiring on a good defensive coordinator, a lot of the other head coaching vacancies go after offensive-minded head coaches. So there's a good chance that you could hold on to a good defensive coordinator for a long time. There's a good chance that even if you have a good defensive coordinator, that coordinator may not find a job elsewhere because a lot of these teams go offensive-minded head coaches. So you could keep a pretty good coaching tandem for a long time. So based on that clip, my hope is that that's John Spytek alluding to that he might go offensive-minded head coach. So guys in the chat, let me know if you think I'm reading it completely wrong. Again, it's purely speculation. I'm just trying to take what he's saying, and hopefully it does mean a certain a direction. So let me know if you agree or disagree. Also, let me know, do you lean more offensive-minded head coach or do you lean more defensive-minded? Let me know in the comments. And I'll definitely do my best to try to bring it up. Where's the flag? You're saying I'd trade Max for the Trey Hendricks and a first. He's leaving anyways. We have the advantage. If you can get a first and replace him with Trey Hendricks, the only thing, I know Trey Hendricks isn't great in the run. He also got hurt this season. I don't remember what the injury was, and so I definitely want to know what that injury was. But if we trade away Max, I'd like to get somebody in the draft. I'd like to get somebody maybe in the second round, starting the second round, maybe third, address the O-line of free agency, and address the edge rusher in the draft, or do a really good job of finding a diamond in the rough. So big job. Fire the GM. He sucks. Now, look, I'm not a big fan of what Spytek has done this offseason. I'm not a fan of the free agents he's brought in for the most part. I'm not a fan of who he picked in the draft. But the only reason why I want to keep Spytek is because this organization has shown one thing, is that they don't honor and they are not dedicated to the people that they bring in the building. Like the head coaches have been a revolving door. And I think you can justify moving on from Pete Carroll because of the age and just the dysfunctional season we've had. But to show that we can at least honor some of the guys that we interview and hire and bring in, I'm okay with holding on to John Spytek. Just in the efforts of showing that we will stay loyal to at least someone that we bring in. Because if you just got rid of John Spytek at the same time, what GM or head coach would want to come here knowing that they may only get 1 year to turn this thing around, which isn't fair. And so in just the efforts of showing loyalty to someone that we hired and went through the entire interview process and hired on, and just kind of changing that stain that we've had over the last, I don't know, what, six years now, I'd be willing to give John Spytek the opportunity to kind of fix the wrongs a little bit. And so, but I'm with you. I don't agree with the free agents for the most part. I don't agree with the free agents that the draft picks that he brought in. But I understand. I understand the emotional part of it. Joshua, as a Patriots fan, I want to thank you guys for Spillane. WWE look forward to having Crosby for us next year. Oh, man. Yes, Spillane did work out well for you guys, especially Caleb Von Chason, which I want to hang on to. It was tough. Let's see. Isaac, how do you feel about the Broncos 1 seed? Look, I posted a massive video, and I know there's still people out there that don't like Bo Nix, all right? And I posted a massive video prior to that year's draft that I thought the only two quarterbacks that we had a chance to basically trade up for or potentially grab would have been Michael Penix and Bo Nix. I knew that there wasn't a chance that we're going to trade up for Caleb Rogers or Jaden Daniels. That just didn't make any sense, to be honest with you, especially with Tom Telesco. But I posted about a 30-minute video as for all the reasons why I think Bo Nix had a really good chance of being a good quarterback. Now, do I think he's going to be a Super Bowl winning quarterback? That remains to be seen. There's so much that has to go right for a quarterback that at times is out of the hands of the quarterback itself, right? The organization has to do that quarterback favors. Look at Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow is one of the most elite quarterbacks to play the game in today's game. But Cincinnati is just, they are not providing him with the platform. Why do you invest so much goddamn money in a number 2 receiver in T. Higgins, but not address the offensive line? It just doesn't make any sense. So that's a really good example of the organization not doing its job to create the foundation for the quarterback to find success. So I think there's also a lot that has to do with the organization setting up the quarterback for success, and the success that the quarterback has sometimes is out of the hands of the quarterback itself. And so I felt like, and I went on basically a 30-minute video as to why I think Bo Nix had a really good chance at being a successful quarterback in the National Football League based on the play that he showed. And there was a lot of things that I liked about him, and I went into very deep detail as to why that was. So it's not surprising that he's matched up with a good offensive-minded head coach, and they've been able to really build the foundation around him. He's got some good, decent receivers over there. He's got a good running game, a good offensive line, and so they've set him up to have success. And Bo Nix has done a lot of good. He's had his up and down games, but for the most part, he's doing a really good job of just kind of managing that offense a little bit and putting them in the seat that they're in. So, and I got 2 buddies that are really good, that are really big Bronco fans. And I'll be honest, a lot of them actually think Bo Nix is doing really good. Their biggest issue is with Sean Payton in the game managing that Sean Payton has kind of shown this past season. And his some of his game time decisions. And so, again, I was really high on Bo Nix, and I thought he would have been a really good offensive quarterback in the National Football League. But a lot has to do with what the organization does to help that quarterback. All right, let's see. Big John, bring back Pete Carroll. See, there are the ones. There are the ones I want to bring back. I don't know if you're joking. But we'll see. We'll see how it all plays out. Joshua, I want to see Brian Flores get the Browns job. Okay, I see you. I think he deserves a chance at a head coaching position. And if we went defensive-minded head coach, him and Robert Saleh, I think, have great history in the NFL. Brian Flores has great history of being a former head coach, and so he wouldn't be a bad option. And so I think he does deserve a chance at being a head coach. Dixon, you're saying young, offensive-minded. I'm with you on that. LS, I know where you sit, 100%. Greed in the building. Do you think the Raiders should be looking at the college ranks, or should they stick to the coaching staff or the coaching NFL trees? I'm 100% stick with the coaching trees. I want someone. I don't want a college coach. I said this kind of in the beginning, so I'll reiterate it really quick. Our franchise needs somebody that has the shortest learning curve possible. I do not want a college coach that now has to understand the ins and outs of the NFL. I lean Clint Kubiak because I think Clint Kubiak, obviously, young offensive-minded head coach. I know a lot of people like Matt LaFleur. They both have really good history in the NFL, long-standing history. But the reason why I lean Clint Kubiak is because we know what Clint Kubiak can do as an offensive play caller. Matt LaFleur, there's still question marks. He comes from the McVay tree. So there's a good chance that he could be or mold into a good offensive play caller. But I know what Clint Kubiak is doing over there in Seattle. And so that's why I lean Clint Kubiak. So I do not want to mess with any college coaches. I think this organization cannot run the risk of taking a chance on a college coach. And because I think this is the biggest decision that this organization, this front office, this is the biggest head coaching position or decision they've had in the last 20 plus years. And so I'm not running the risk with a college head coach. Again, that's just my opinion. Radiant, you got offensive minded is ideal, especially drafting a quarterback in the upcoming draft. I agree. Lord Rachitas, where does Harbaugh go? I'm not sure. That's a really good question. And I think Harbaugh doesn't. I'd be curious if Harbaugh doesn't necessarily want to truly rebuild. So maybe he'll try to go somewhere that already has a quarterback in the building. You know, Harbaugh is up there in age, so I don't know. It'd be interesting. Chat, let us know, who do you think, or where do you think Harbaugh might want to go? Rosetown, what's going on, man? Rocky, you want Kingsbury. All right, I know Kingsbury's name's out there. Again, I lean Clinton Kubiak, but that's definitely a name out there. I just don't know if Kingsbury would come back based on the fact that he was supposed to be here and then basically kind of ran out the building. So I just don't know how that dynamic would work. I know that was a different regime and stuff like that, but again, I just don't know how that dynamic would work. Yvette, you're saying offensive head coach. LS, you can see Dan Campbell going after Monken, possibly if he's available. If Monken would do a kind of a lateral move, obviously with the regime change, with the head coaching change with the Ravens, maybe he wants a different scene, and so could happen. But again, man, that just puts Dan Campbell in such a rough position to where now all of a sudden now he's got to continue to find coaches, and that's why I don't want either a defensive-minded head coach or somebody that isn't a coordinator, because God, now you find yourself in that revolving door, and that's definitely something I don't want. Let's see. Brady said, I think Spytek deserves some more time. This is the first off season where he has his scouting in the building. Absolutely. That's a very good point. I know that the guys that we got from the Eagles, now that one scout from the Eagles did bring over Booker, which I was not a fan of that pick at all, or that trade, I guess, swap. But you're right, 100%. When the GM comes in the very first time, it takes him a little bit to even get his scouting together. And Spytek has to obviously learn what the talent looks like in the building already and the existing talent. So this will be his first true off season. So I agree. He definitely gets a second chance. Isaiah, Spillane is hurt. Spillane has been hurt the last month though. Was he? I think you're right. I think you're right. I wasn't tracking 100%. Joshua, okay, and Spillane is back for the playoffs though. Yeah, we'll see. We'll definitely see. I definitely was not happy when Spillane left the building. Big John, you're saying Bo Nix sucks. The only reason the Broncos are good is because of the defense. Just look at the defense though. The last, I want to say 6 weeks or so, the defense hasn't looked great. Right, and Bo Nix has had his up and down games. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying he's this like crazy elite quarterback, but there's a lot of reasons why Bo Nix is having success in that offense. Is because he's doing a really good job of kind of navigating that offense in times, and he does a really good job of using his legs. He can get that ball downfield. One thing to keep in mind is I believe he's also the second. He has the second most drop passes by the receiver room in the National Football League. And so he's had a crap ton of drop passes over there. So, again, I'm not saying he's absolutely elite. You know what I'm saying? I just, of that quarterback class and of who I think we could have brought in to basically be a staple to build around, to me was Bo Nix. And look, it's no mistake. Like, it's no mistake that Bo Nix is now going to back-to-back playoffs. All right? You got to have a decent quarterback in order to even make back-to-back playoffs. So, by no means, I'm not saying he's this crazy elite quarterback, but I think he's doing pretty good over there in a sense that he's able to lead that team, that offense, to do back-to-back playoff runs. And Almond Glaves, yes, I think that's probably the best way to put it, right? Bo Nix is above average to good. The Broncos did him favors by building that elite defense. Yes, the defense did help out, but look at the tail end of the year with that defense, and it hasn't been great by any means. They've definitely given up a lot of points, a lot of yardage. But you know, Bo Nix, I think he is. He's above. He's good to above average. And I'll tell you right now, I'd take him over Geno Smith any day of the week. And I still think I'd take him to build around him, because again, I had so many reasons why I thought Bo Nix could be a good quarterback in the National Football League. And as it stands right now, like to say that he just sucks, I think is I don't know if you can't put that on him. You can't just flat out say he sucks. That doesn't make any sense given the fact that he's going to back-to-back playoffs and he's basically the number one seed going into the playoffs. And so I think that's really tough to put that on him. Yes, he's had his up and down games, but also one thing to take a look at is look at the quarterback play across the league. There's only one or two quarterbacks that have truly played at an elite level almost consistently. Right? Matthew Stafford has played at an elite level consistently. Outside of that, look at the quarterback play amongst all the quarterbacks amongst the league. Look at Josh Allen. Josh Allen is an elite quarterback, but he is up and down. I think the defenses are doing a really good job of battling the offenses nowadays, where quarterbacks are struggling to have consistent back-to-back really good games. The defenses are becoming more sophisticated. The defenses are doing a really good job of scheming against offenses. And so that's the only thing I would say. As much as you can go back and look at Bo Nix and he's had up and down games, look at all the other quarterbacks. Look at you can say maybe you could look at even guys like Jalen Hurts, right? Jalen Hurts, I don't know if you could put him at the elite level, but at the same time, up and down games, right? But they're still having success. Look at Dak Prescott, right? Dak Prescott, he's more on the up, but it's still up and down games because I think defenses are really starting to become pretty sophisticated against some of these offenses, and that's why quarterbacks are having just more inconsistent numbers. So I don't just look at numbers with quarterbacks anymore because I do think that quarterbacks and offenses are becoming more balanced as opposed to what you saw, I want to say like 4 or 5 years ago with like the Kansas City Chiefs, right? The Kansas City Chiefs, when they had Tyreek Hill, it was just basically that spread, we're going to air you out. And defenses evolved. And now offenses had to kind of match that. And I think that's what we're seeing with the quarterback plays, where it's not all about just throwing for 400 yards a game now. It's being very balanced. So with the quarterback play, I just don't look at numbers anymore, to be dead honest with you. You just better not turn over the ball a lot. That's all I got to say. That's a pretty big indicator. And obviously, Geno Smith hasn't been great. And Bo Nix, look, he's had his turnovers as well. I think he has 11 interceptions on the season. I want to say there's quite a few of those that went through receivers' hands, to be honest, but we'll see. Omega SL, do you think he has had enough OC experience, though? I know he's been in the NFL a while. I think if you look at through all the candidates, right? And I think you're talking about Clint Kubiak. I think what he's doing with Seattle shows me that he can bring a good system over and coach it up, right? I mean, not only did he have to take Sam Darnold and teach him the system in 1 year. It's hard for a quarterback to fully understand a system, be new in a system, and then get chemistry with the receivers in year one. And they kind of hit the ground running. And so what that tells me is that he's able to take a quarterback, mold him within his system, but not only do that, but also take the number one receiver threat that you have, JCN, which doesn't have a lot of help. Jackson Smith and Jigma does not have a lot of help over there in Seattle. He is the number one target. And Clint Kubiak is making him look like a number one target. So I think for myself, even though, yes, I think he only has about 3 years of offense coordinator experience, but go back and look at just how much experience he has in the NFL. And so if you can cap it off with showing that you can do a good job of calling a good offense and producing a consistent offense, I will definitely lean that over a Matt LaFleur that hasn't. He's got 1 year of offensive playing of OC experience with the Jets. I don't really count that because obviously it was a 1 year. He had Zach Wilson, which, look, a rookie quarterback. I'm not determining, your OC playing calling experience on that. But that's why I lean Clint Kubiak because of his OC experience. A lot of people like Joe Brady. The reason why I'm not high on Joe Brady is because of the lack of experience. As much as Joe Brady's calling an offense, he didn't build that offense with Josh Allen. Plus, he doesn't have a lot of experience in the NFL in general. I think he only has about 4 years of total, maybe 5 years of total NFL experience. And so, again, that's why I lean Clint Kubiak. All right. Let's see. Let me kind of get down to where's the flag. Booker was good, like Adam Butler is good, right? Hey, whoa. Don't you talk about my boy Adam Butler like that, and Booker is not good at all. Don't be putting those two together. You got your mind. Let's see. Rocky, do you have a journalist pass to watch the team practice and have other access to the team since you live in Vegas? I do not. Not even close. I do not at all. I just have a lot of coaching and playing experience. That's it. Coaching and playing experience. That's all I got. Again, 15 years of playing it and 23 years of coaching it. So I do not have access to anything, and this is just got a full-time job and family. This is just a side gig. So I just go off of what my experience is and what my eyes see. To be dead honest with you, LS Bonix is this generation's Alex Smith, and I think that's. I'll be honest with you. I think that's all you need. You build around that. That's all you need. Because in this generation's offense, I don't think it's about scoring 40 points a game. I'll be honest. I think it's more about just having a balanced offense and being able to sustain drives. And I'm telling you, if you could put 24 to 27 points up a game, you're going to find yourself winning a lot of football games. So I think just this quarterback play in this generation is very different than what we saw, even up to like 6 years ago. All right, so let's do this. Let me get to the last couple. Man, I try to address as many questions as I possibly can. All right, so I just want you guys rock with me. I definitely want to kind of give you the respect and try to get you as many questions, but I got over 150 people in the building. I definitely appreciate y'all rocking with me. Double tap that screen. I'm doing a giveaway at the end of this. Again, we locked up that number one. As promised, we're going to do it. I got people. Let's see how many I got in the giveaway so far. Let me look. 71 so far. So we're going to do it right after I get through these clips. Luis Hernandez, man, it was good seeing you over the weekend, man. He was actually one of my giveaway winners a while ago. I think this is going to be giveaway 16 since starting my channel, man. It was definitely good chopping up with you and seeing you over the weekend, man. We'll definitely do it again. It'll be fun. All right, so let's do this. Let's go to the next clip. All right, these next couple kind of talk about kind of what Spytek is looking for in a head coach. Actually, you know what? I'm gonna jump over to one because, man, I've been trying to answer as many questions as possible. I'm gonna jump to this one. This is where Hondo Carpenter starts the talk of how much involvement Tom Brady is gonna have, and I might get a little animated as I get into these topics. So I'm gonna play some of these clips, and I want your guys' feedback as to what Spytek's response is as it relates to Tom Brady and his potential involvement. So I'm gonna kind of go through this first one. Again, if for some reason you can't hear the audio, let me know.
Expect on a more regular basis to have Tom in the building physically?
I have a great relationship with Tom. We're in constant communication daily, and whether he's in the building or not, our conversations are very much similar. So I always love seeing him. He's somebody I've learned a lot from every time I've had a chance to sit in a room with him, but we've had a lot of great phone conversations as well.
Okay, so let me know how you take it. I took that as Spytek, honestly. I don't think he's sure how much involvement Tom Brady is going to have, how much he's actually going to be in the building. Hondo Carpenter straight asked him, do you expect Tom Brady to have more presence in the building? And that response by Spytek basically tells me he has absolutely no clue whether or not Tom Brady is going to be in the building more than what he has been. So, guys, let me know if you have a comment to that. That's kind of how I took it. And the more and more, I'm going to play a couple more clips. And as we kind of go through this, I'm going to kind of give you my take on Tom Brady and the involvement I think he has to have. Because, in my opinion, everything since Tom Brady took minority ownership, everything that has been basically linked to or connected to Tom Brady has absolutely failed to this point. Absolutely failed. And it's not like we can sit there and go, has it worked out? No, it's absolutely failed. He wanted Ben Johnson. Didn't work out. Absolutely failed. He wanted Matthew Stafford. Didn't work out. Absolutely failed. Reports say that he was the one that wanted Chip Kelly. Didn't work out. He was the one that handpicked Cam Miller. Didn't work out. So there's a lot of things that factually did not work out with Tom Brady. And so if he's going to have this much involvement, I want to know what Spytek's feedback is going to be based on the fact that markdavis said it's him and Spytek. So let me know. I'm going to kind of go down. Let me go down the list. Let me see. Let's see. Big John, Booker was great this year. So I don't know if you tapped in with us. We break down game film every single week after the game. And I'm going to tell you right now, Booker was not even close to great this year. He's not even close. We broke down the game film. I spend a total of 6 hours between Monday and Tuesday to prepare for Wednesday's game film breakdown that we do every single week. And I'll tell you right now, Booker was not worth. I mean, I don't want to say he wasn't worth the swap of Jacorian Bennett, because obviously Jacorian Bennett got hurt. I don't think Jacorian Bennett was going to get any playing time because we changed up the scheme, the defensive scheme. We went to a cover 3 where Jacorian Bennett was more of a man-to-man corner. And so, but Booker was not good. There was nothing that Booker did this year throughout the entire season. They hyped his ass up in the preseason. He looked okay in the preseason against backup backup offensive linemen, because that's all we really played in the preseason. But during the season, you can't point to anything that tells me that Booker was great. He had some hustle plays here and there, but that is about it. Outside that, he got his ass manhandled at the line of scrimmage. The amount of times that it was 3rd and short, 4th and short, and they ran right at him, and he got removed out of the gap. There was nothing that Booker did this great, and I did my homework, and I can point to numerous plays where he just did not do very good. Now, but to your point, Booker is much better than Jacorian Bennett. Look, I think I think it was just it was a swap because Bennett just didn't fit the scheme. But nothing Bennett did this year was great and would show me that it was even worth a trade. Because at the end of the day, I said this at the very beginning. Shout out to my guy Jen Slinger. We kind of went back and forth, and I said Jonah Laulu, without question, is going to be better than Thomas Booker. And Jonah Laulu had 7 times the amount of good plays, 8 times the amount of good plays that Thomas Booker did. Jonah Laulu actually showed numerous flashes, probably 2 or 3 times a game, where I think it's worth bringing him back as a rotational piece and probably a competition piece in this locker room if we want to bring him back. And so I would take Jonah Laulu over Booker any day of the week without question. And again, you can go back. We break down the game film every single week. Let's see. Let me just see if there's any comments on that. Again, to me, it feels like Spytek has no clue. The answer that Spytek gave tells me he has no clue whether or not Tom Brady is going to be have a more presence inside the building. Again, that's just kind of what I took. That's my take on it. Rocky, Raiders need to hire the best offensive line coach in the league and pay him well outside the quarterback position. The offensive line is the most important position group. It is. I'm a firm believer. You build in the trenches without question. Lord Rachitis, you could hear the knots in the knot in Hondo's throat now that Pete Carroll's gone. The good thing is that, hey, they were at least giving him some pointed questions. Usually, they beat around the bush way too goddamn much. Lord Rachitis, Tom Brady needs to stop playing around with us. I got 2 more clips that we're going to definitely talk on. Big John, Tom Brady should stay out of all decisions. Okay, we will talk. We're going to talk about that as well. Raider Hawaii spoken like a true politician. That is true. Yvette, you're saying facts. And I think I don't know if that you're saying that based on just how much Tom Brady has really, his decisions haven't worked out. And look, I said this the moment that he was brought on, is I'm in a clear wait and see. I'm going to wait and see what Tom Brady can do, because just because you're a great player does not mean that you are a good manager to understand how to develop a roster. Just because you're a great player doesn't mean a goddamn thing when it comes to managing a football organization. So I was in wait and see. And as of right now, I'm still waiting. Big John, Tom Brady needs to invest in a different team, not the Raiders. Yeah, I'm with you. Kevin Lurker, that threw Spytek because he doesn't know. That was my take. That was my take on it. LS, Mark will forever be a bad owner for allowing this type of bullshit. Matt Ryan is also to step away from his media responsibilities to be in as head of football operations. Yeah, I think with the Falcons, I believe, tired of TB12. There's a couple more clips. I'm going to tie into that, LS, exactly. And so Big Johnny said, I've watched every game. Booker is very good this season. Okay, I mean, look, we have a difference of opinion. You're saying Booker was better than Butler. Man, I will 110% disagree. Booker wasn't as good as, Adam Butler wasn't as effective as last year. This year, he's the one that took on the double teams. And so he wasn't as effective as it relates to impact plays. But Booker did a very good job. You want to know one of the reasons why Landon Roberts actually did really well was because Adam Butler had to take on those double teams, and he took those double teams on, which freed up our linebackers. You know, you look at Devin White having leading our team in tackles. Now, Devin White didn't do great, horrible in pass coverage, but when you have a defensive tackle that can take up double teams, that frees up your linebackers. Booker had the one-on-one a lot and still couldn't do anything. He was basically non-effective on 98% of the plays. Again, he had some hustle plays, but outside of that, there's nothing you can definitively point to on a consistent basis that tells me he's a starting caliber interior defensive lineman. And so let's see. But again, that's just my opinion. But again, I go back and Big John, keep Booker, get rid of Butler. All right, that is your opinion. Omega XL, I think eventually Brady will have to decide between Las Vegas and Fox. Okay, you guys are kind of getting to my next point, and let me play the next couple clips. And we're definitely going to get into that. There's two more that basically directly ask Spytek on just the collaboration between him and Spytek, and between Tom Brady and Spytek. So I'm going to run these through.
John, I was wondering, going back to Brady, do you envision kind of like his involvement to increase moving forward, whether that is not being in the building or whatnot? Like, how would you? Because I know in the statement it says close collaboration in all football operations. Just I was wondering, how would you describe his role moving forward after this year?
Yeah, I know you're kind of on this. I talk to him a lot. You know, he's aware of what we're doing. I don't bore him with the mundane, transactions or all that. But any big decision, I've talked to him about. Any vision, I've talked to him about. He's a great resource for me. He's a great partner in this for me. And I would be not doing a good job and be a fool if I didn't talk to him. He's been supportive of me. He can't be here every day right now, but I promise you, I talk to him a lot, and he and I are on the same page.
Okay, guys, again, the whole interview was about 18 minutes. And so I only clipped up about 5 minutes total of the entire interview. And when I hear that, when Spytek says that I don't bore Tom Brady with the mundane transactions or the smaller details, that is wild to me. Because in order for you to understand the full picture, even like we're having a discussion about Booker, right? Even players that, really good example, Stone Forsythe. Stone Forsythe probably could be looked at a mundane transaction. That could have been looked at as, oh, that's not that big of a transaction. He's a backup offensive tackle. When we picked up Stone Forsythe, I was absolutely pissed off because the amount of injuries that we had on the offensive line last year, and again, I'm a big build in the trenches guy. The amount of injuries we had last year to the offensive line told me that we need to make sure that even when addressing the backups, you have to bring somebody in that you don't fall off too much. You want to be able to do your due diligence, find somebody that if you slot them in, whether it's for a series, whether it's for a game, or like we had with Colton Miller, gone for the rest of the season. You want to potentially bring somebody in that you don't fall off too much. And the problem with that statement right there out of John Spytek is that you're not going to bore Brady with the mundane transactions, with the small details, tells me that Tom Brady, you are not 110% bought in to making sure that the next path of this organization is rock solid. And then Spytek basically goes on to say, I have my conversations. We have phone calls all the time. You don't need to have phone calls. You need to have one-on-one in-person meetings on a daily basis to understand the path forward. If you're just having phone calls, that means, Tom Brady, Your priorities are elsewhere. And the issues and problems that this organization has had for the last 20 plus years, I don't need a half-ass owner, or I don't need a half-ass person that is not giving the 110% priority to this organization. And again, for Spytek to basically say that he is not going to bore him with the mundane transactions, the small day-to-day things, that is what leads you to the bigger picture. That's what leads you to the bigger goal, is the smaller pieces of the process. I've said this multiple times. It's not about one player or one transaction. It's about the pieces to the puzzle. And if you don't understand all the pieces, you don't know how to put the biggest puzzle together. And so, guys, agree or disagree with me. As soon as Spytek said that, as it relates to how much Tom Brady is going to be involved in communication, for him to say, I'm not going to bore him with the mundane, that was a massive red flag. Let me know if I'm overreacting. Let me know your feedback. I got one more clip that I'm going to share with you guys, but in that one kind of is what really tips me over the edge with Tom Brady. And I think, LS, to your point that you just stated in your previous comment, Tom Brady needs to give this. Tom Brady needs to basically out everything else. Everything else he's doing, he needs to be in the building 110%. But I'm going to get to the next clip, but I definitely want to see what everybody's saying. I don't want to go back too far. Let's see. Just so I don't know if you're talking about Spytek, but what's going on? I appreciate you popping in here again, guys. As long as you put a comment in, you are automatically going to be involved in the giveaway that I'm doing at the tail end of this live. It's as long as you put a comment in, you're automatically entered into that live. Raider Bebop, appreciate it. I go live randomly, but I typically go live on Sundays after the game. Now that the games are over, we will go live in the Raider War Room with Chris, as well as Chris with Protection Podcast, as well as The Severe Raider. We also go live on Wednesdays as well. I try to pop on as much as I can and kind of do a one-on-one. Super Omnicron, what's going on, brother? Appreciate you rocking with me. Where's the flag? You're saying Brady's going to be the owner that always hires who people say is the best of the best. Yeah, probably. Just win, baby. Sounds like Spytek is slow learning on the job. And it's going to be a learning process for him, right? Last year was his first year doing it. There's going to be a learning curve. I just hope that he's given the reins to make the final decision, because we got to be able to point to somebody. I'm kind of jumping ahead. I'll get to that point in just a second. Raider Pete in the building. What's going on, man? So Spytek is saying Mark Davis's message was not clear, and that Brady is not only part of final say on just one or two big decisions, head coach and quarterback. I mean, he's basically saying that he's going to be part of that decision, but according to what Spytek is saying, is that he doesn't want to bore him with the mundane transactions and the small details, which is wild to me. Radiant, true, day-to-day is most important, without question. That's just my take on it. I do think day-to-day is 100% important. And if you ain't 99% in, then get your ass out. This organization deserves 110%. Again, my opinion. Let's see. Injured. What's going on? Hopefully I'm pronouncing it right. In my opinion, I would rather have a half-assed Tom Brady than 100% Mark Davis. So I want Mark Davis 100% away from the process. I want Mark Davis 110% away from the process. But I don't need a half-assed Brady. I don't need a Brady that's going to come over to John Spytek and go, oh, well, I didn't do all my research. I didn't spend 110% of my time understanding if what I'm about to tell you is the best path forward for this organization. If you're half-assing it, I don't want your half-ass effort, because half-ass effort equals half-ass results. Yes, Tom Brady was arguably the best player, best quarterback to ever play the game, but that doesn't mean you understand how to build and manage a roster or an organization. Right now, you're basically just riding the coattails of the Raiders organization and building your pocketbook. And so, yes, Mark Davis, stay far away. I want him to have nothing to do with the decisions moving forward as it relates to anything. But you better give us 110%. Raider Pete, 5% ownership gets less 100%. 5% ownership. My bad. Yeah, I put it up there. 5% ownership gets less than 100% effort on helping build a staff or roster. Big John, Mark Davis needs to step in more, or I hope he is. Again, I'm on the opposite. I hope Mark Davis steps the hell out. I want him far away from the process because there has to be a proper chain of command. I've said this ever since the whole John Gruden, Mike Mayock situation. You have, when things go south, when things go wrong, you have to be able to point in a certain direction. Mark Davis is the owner. You're not going to be able to get rid of the owner, right? But the owner hires on the GM. And if everything goes south and the head coach doesn't work out, then the GM has to be held accountable. If you overstep the GM and you don't let him do his job, then who do you point to? Mark Davis? Then we're going to consistently just be a horrible organization because Mark Davis has proven to absolutely screw up the last three head coaching hires between John Gruden, between Josh McDaniels and Antonio Pierce. And then ultimately, if Mark Davis was that involved in the Pete Carroll hire, then there you have it as well. So I want Mark Davis far away. Enjoy your press box. Enjoy what you do. You have to make sure that the proper chain of command is in place so you can point the fingers in the right direction. Either it's successful and you can give John Spytek all the praise in the world, or it goes south and you get rid of John Spytek because it didn't work out. Again, it's just all about the proper chain of command, in my opinion. Seventh. It sounds like Mark Davis is more interested in WNBA than the Raiders. It's ridiculous. Hey, he is finding success elsewhere. It's tough. It's tough to watch. Brady, my hope is Tom Brady only advises while Spytek is learning and eventually doesn't input. We'll see. Because right now it's clear Mark Davis said it's both of them. And to what extent, that's why I'm breaking this down, because some of the things that Spytek was saying in this last clip is probably the most important. The last clip is the most important to what Spytek says out of his mouth. That to me tells me what I expected out of Tom Brady. And so, House Junkies, the answer was unacceptable to lead the Raiders back to glory. I agree. Omega XL, I think Spytek just needs to grow a pair. He gave too much to what Pete wanted when he literally has Brady's back. I do think that was maybe part of the problem, right? You have Pete Carroll that demands respect because of his history. And I think with the Geno Smith move, with the Stone Forsythe move, maybe Spytek being a rookie GM just allowed Pete Carroll to have just too much say. And hopefully that's something that he learns from. Hopefully he learns to just kind of stick to his guns and do what he feels right. Because at the end of the day, it's his job on the line. If this doesn't work out, he's ultimately going to end up being fired. So I'm with you. Like, grow a pair and do what you feel is right, because your name is tied to this. And 99.9% of the GMs don't get a second chance. I think when we brought in Tom Telesco, that was one of the rare times that a GM got a second chance. And John Spytek, and look, if you have the number one overall pick, your name, your GM career is going to be solely tied to what you do with this number one overall draft pick. Not just who you pick and how you handle the number one, but the success of the organization after having a number one overall pick. So, to your point, John Spytek, you better grow a pair, because this is all on you. Don't let anybody else dictate the future of what your GM career looks like. So that's the one thing I definitely will say. Super. Why he turns it over to Brady. I don't know what the S means. My bad. Red Pete. Yes, red flag, but also might be Spytek's way of keeping it light for Brady, one of his bosses. And that's what I hate. I understand Tom Brady's the owner, but at the end of the day, or minority owner, at the end of the day, you dictate your own future with this. And so don't be light with Tom Brady, man. Honestly, in my opinion, just say it how it is. But that's just me. Big John, Brady really needs to stay out of all the decisions. LS, I'm almost positive Brady would have told Mark that this is how it's going to be. And Mark was so desperate to get Tom in the building, he just accepted it. Mark Davis definitely sits down to piss. That's my fear, is that Mark Davis was so just obsessed with the Patriot way, obsessed with Tom Brady, the obsession of Josh McDaniels and bringing him in, that Mark Davis just doesn't understand the football side of things. And so my biggest issue with Mark Davis for the longest time now is that he fully doesn't understand the football side of things. So he allows too many people in his ear to basically dictate the next decision that he makes. And he doesn't understand the football side of things enough to know, is it the right decision or not? He's just got too many goddamn people in his ear. He needs to basically pick the GM, let the GM do his thing. And again, enjoy your press box. Enjoy your press box and rock out. Omega Alexi deserves 110%, especially given the situation of the team. Yeah, you said it deserves 110%. Yes, it does. But also, what is Brady supposed to do at headquarters? Tom Brady. Okay, this gets to my next point. Let me play the next clip. Again, guys, do me a massive favor. Do me a massive favor and hit that hashtag Raiders if you have a comment to the clip or to what I'm saying. Because again, with over 150 people in the building, I definitely appreciate it. I definitely want to get to as many comments as possible, but it's hard for me to rock through everybody. And so let me get to this next one. Let me scroll down just a little bit. I apologize. I'm a little bit behind. Let me get to this next clip, and then we'll touch on it. This one's just a little bit long because it's two different reporters. And the one thing I definitely want you guys to pay attention to is Q Myers. He's going to ask a question, and what Spytek answers is basically going to sum up everything that I have just said and my expectations of somebody in the building. So let me kind of play this one through.
What are some of the traits that you and Tom have that you believe will help you collaborate together to move the football operations forward in a positive manner?
You know, I think people sometimes misunderstand mine and Tom's relationship. We played together 1 year at Michigan, and then we didn't talk for 20 years. Then he came to Tampa, and so. But what really resonates with Tom and I think, is our shared vision of what football is, and a lot of it goes back to Michigan. I think I've talked about this a little bit, but just the idea of work ethic and accountability and discipline and a team built on really the team. I mean, it's kind of runs through my head, the team. I can see it written on the walls at Schembechler Hall and see Bo Schembechler saying it. And we see football similar. We don't see it the same. We have plenty of discussions and disagreements, and, you know, I'm not afraid to tell him that. I think that's kind of why he likes me. But I do believe that we see things similar, and we've both had a lot of success seeing it that way. And I think we know what we're after, and it's up to us now to go find it.
All right. So after that, like, Q Myers is now going to ask the next question, right? And this is the last clip that I got. And Q Myers is going to ask the next question. But remember what Spytek just said. Spytek said the team. He's all about the team. He's all about making sure that he's identifying the needs of the roster, the needs of the locker room, the needs of the coaching staff, and everything that you have to do. Surround yourself around the team. So just remember that that's what Spytek basically just said. And he said it a couple times in the interview. Again, it was an 18-minute interview. I only clipped about 5 minutes worth. So Q Myers is about to ask the next question and listen to Spytek's answer. And this is the last one, and we'll get into it. And again, after that, we're going to hit you guys with that giveaway. So, here we go.
Q Myers, Raider Nation Radio 920. Now that you have a year under your belt and you kind of know what you have and what you don't have, what is that shared vision that you and Tom have putting this team together?
Well, it's about team before self. It's about discipline. It's about accountability. It's about work ethic. Winning is fun, but it comes at a price. Okay, I just want to stop. He said team before self. Team before self. And he's 100% true. And the one thing I'll add to that, and what we kind of talked about a little bit, Tom Brady, it's team before self. Get your ass out of the broadcasting booth. Put your ass 110% into this organization. Be in the building. Work with John Spytek, because according to Mark Davis, it's you and John Spytek. It's Tom Brady and John Spytek. You guys are doing this. So get your ass out of that broadcasting booth and pour 110% into this, because that's what John Spytek just said. He said it's team before self. I'm going to keep going. Sorry about ranting. I'm going to rewind it just a little bit. It's about work ethic. Winning is fun, but it comes at a price, and it is required every day. Otherwise, this league is far too competitive, and he's felt it. I've felt it. You can feel like you're close, but if you're off by a couple different things, you can end up at 3-14. And we've got to put a process and a system in place that demands the best of our players, of our coaches, of our entire football operations, and really the entire building every day.
Okay, I'm going to reiterate that. I'm going to reiterate one more time. Not just he said it's team before self. He also said it requires every single day. It requires the efforts of everybody every single day. And I'll rewind it one more time. Not only did he said everybody, he said the entire building.
Place that demands the best of our players, of our coaches, of our entire football operations, and really the entire building every day.
Every day. Not 50% of the time, not 25% of the time, not 99% of the time. Every single day, 110% of your time needs to be dedicated to putting this organization in the right path. And if Tom Brady, you're going to be a part of that, you got to be 110% in. And this is what's pissing me off about the whole situation. Us as the Raider fan base should expect more of people that are supposed to be putting us in the right direction. I'm gonna finish up the clip and I'll finish it off. Again, hit that hashtag Raiders. Let me know if you agree or disagree. Let me know. I'm down to chop it up.
And I've been here a year now. I've got to know MD ownership. I know what the expectations are. I've got to know the building, I think, really well. And we've got a plan in place, and we're gonna start working on it. And the goal is constant, meticulous improvement, so that this organization and the Raider Nation can be proud when they walk into Allegiant Stadium.
What are some of the
Okay, so that's the last clip I have. I'm gonna go back up to the big screen. Appreciate everybody rocking. I'm gonna go back to the big screen. I'm gonna look back at some of the comments. But again, let me know if you agree or disagree. Big Johnny saying the team is built on trust. Sacktown, I think you had that on the past comment, hashtag pathetic. Yes, I agree. Raider, Bebop saying it definitely was a learning experience and giving the head coach some say in figuring out when to step in. I agree. I think you're basing that off of, I think Spytek probably gave Pete Carroll just a little bit more leeway than he should have based on just Pete Carroll's experience, which is understandable, right? But yes, I do think it's just rookie GM, and he's got to learn from it. He's got to move on from it and improve on it without question. Yaya in the building. Appreciate you rocking with me. LS, you're saying this is where Mark lacks the football knowledge. This is where Mark's lack of football knowledge hurts us. He doesn't understand that leaving the final decision with Brady over Spytek is borderline negligent, given who's in the building more. I'm with you. Again, Spytek, and I think there was a comment. I might be able to find it. Somebody put that basically Spytek, Tom Brady brought Spytek in the building, and I do agree with that. There were moments in this presser where I think Spytek tried to distance himself from Brady a little bit regarding that. He basically stated that so he's like, people kind of misinterpret their relationship, given the fact that yes, they played at Michigan, but then after that they really didn't come back together after about 20 years. Obviously, when Tom Brady went to the Bucs. Right. And so I think he attempted to distance a little bit of the relationship that he had in the past. But Ellis, I'm with you. I think Markdavis's lack of football knowledge definitely hurts us in just understanding the direction of and the pathway this organization needs to go. Jason, you're saying not sold on Spytek. We don't need two GMs with Brady and him. One man needs to make the call. 100% agree. One man needs to make the call, and you got to be able to point to one man if it does great or if it fails. Dixon, team before broadcasting for Fox. And I think that's where it really pisses me off. This is where Tom Brady comes in, and if everything Tom Brady has touched so far has failed, factually has failed, then you cannot half-ass this. If Tom Brady is going to be involved in identifying and hiring the next head coach, I better not see Tom Brady in the broadcasting booth on Fox during the playoffs. the amount of time and effort that it takes for him to have to do his own job in broadcasting doesn't tell me that you are 110% involved in identifying who the next head coach needs to be. If John Spytek is just calling him every once in a while to kind of give him an update or give him his feedback or whatever it may be, I don't want that. Tom Brady, you are 110% in, or get the hell out. Get the hell out. Enjoy making money off of the Raider fan base, off the Raider name, and have nothing to do with this process. Because to me, we have been so dysfunctional and we have missed so much in the last 20 plus years that we don't deserve to have somebody that's going to give us a half-ass effort. So again, I'm just taking this to what Spytek is saying. Again, it's all speculation. He could just be kind of sugarcoating it. I know somebody said that, he's covering for Spytek or for Tom Brady because he hired him, and maybe that is the case. Maybe Tom Brady is going to have a ton of involvement. But at the end of the day, Spytek just said it requires every day from everybody, from the coaches to the team to the front office, everybody in the building. And if we see Tom Brady broadcasting on Fox these playoff games, that tells me, guess what? Nah, you ain't giving it 110%. And if this next head coach doesn't work out, I'm afraid that, man, people will start throwing shit at Tom Brady if he walks on that sideline, in the next coming seasons. I'll be real. I'll probably be one of them egging him on, to be dead honest with you. So again, that's just my take. Gia, you're saying I agree, but Brady's not going to do this full time. He's not. So if you're not going to do it full time, then in my opinion, get your ass out. Get your ass out. I want someone that's going to be full time. Big John, you're holding strong. You were holding strong to Mark Davis. How's Junkies? Fax 805. Appreciate you popping up in here. Omega LX, damn, we're breaking this conference down like high school English teacher. Look, this is just kind of what I do, to be honest with you. I just take, again, just the experience that I have of coaching and playing this game. And so I may read into things a little bit too deep. But with that experience, I don't know. I don't know how to explain it. I can just interpret things just a little bit differently. And again, I like to do it live. I want to get your guys' feedback, whether or not, you agree or disagree. Shout to Big John, man. I think he's disagreed with everything I've said so far. But it's all good. You know what I'm saying? I want the feedback. I love to hear it. And so let's see, LS. You see, Brady is hedging his bets. If this doesn't work out, he can fall back on the excuse of not being in the building every day. If it succeeds, he can get the bulk of the praise for having final say. I actually 110% agree that Tom Brady will reap all the rewards if it works out. And if it doesn't, yeah, he's got that excuse. I actually 100% agree. That could easily be what Tom Brady is trying to do, is that if it works out, man, Tom Brady's a genius. Look, he worked out as a great owner. And if it doesn't work out, he can say, whoa, I didn't have enough input that I wanted. It was John Spytek, because that is what the role of the GM is. The role of the GM is to identify the head coach. That is the role. And he's got that fallback, which is tough. I 100% agree. And so, again, guys, Raider Pete, can't read into all of it, but good to know Spytek can think on his own and not be a yes man to Brady. I hope so. I hope maybe him just kind of separating himself a little bit. Again, I didn't show it on this, but he tried to do that a little bit. Maybe that means he will kind of make his own decisions. But with the number 1 overall draft pick, your fate of being a GM or being a part of a front office is literally tied to this number 1 draft pick. Not very many teams or GMs get the opportunity to have a number 1 overall draft pick. So I'm telling you, his history is going to be tied to this without question. Raider Pete owners, stay home after investing managers and everyone else, GM, et cetera, are the 110% 7 day a week. Unfortunately, most businesses are that way. And that's why I think Tom Brady, if you want to put your name on it, your ass better be in that building 110%. Let's see, Rick. I think if Spytek screws this higher up, he's done. And that's why I'm saying, like, don't allow somebody else to dictate your future within a front office. Take the reins and make sure you can put your name on this with confidence. Red Hawaii. Or Rick, I'm seeing it. Let Spytek do his job. And again, I don't agree with a lot of what Spytek did in the offseason between free agency and the draft. I don't agree. But I want to be able to clearly point to somebody if this thing goes bad. And obviously you could point to Mark Davis because he's at the very top. But I want to be able to clearly point at somebody if this thing goes completely off. If this thing goes bad, and right now, it's shaky on who we're supposed to be pointing at. Red What? How can Mark Davis be a lack of football knowledge? His whole life was around football. Look, I think some people just don't grasp. Look, you could be around football all day, every day, right? And I do think L. Davis was tough because learning from L. Davis, in my opinion, learning from L. Davis, the way that he did things is very different than how it's structured in today's game. I think the salary cap era really messed with L. Davis. The relationships and how L. Davis molded relationships is very different than how you do it today. And so, but I also think that Mark Davis, I think whatever he did learn, I think doesn't apply to just kind of how it's run today. You can take bits and pieces of it without question, but if you just don't have the smarts, if you just don't have the football mind to it, you don't know how to mold it, or if you don't have the proper understanding of it, then you don't know how to mold and adapt to the changes that the NFL sees today, if that makes sense, right? It's like, I've coached with hundreds of other people, and there are some people that, I've coached. I've been a head coach. I've been offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator my entire life through my 23 years of coaching. And there are some people that they just don't grasp onto the full concept, even though they were maybe with me for 11 years of those 23 years. Sometimes they just don't grasp onto it because they just don't have the full understanding and don't process it in a certain way. That could be the case of Mark Davis, to be dead honest. Now, what Mark Davis is great at is understanding the business side of the NFL. I mean, his move to Vegas and him lining his pockets is nothing but genius. But when it comes to the football side of things, I think he's just missing it, unfortunately. Let's see. Anybody else? Let's see. I want to make sure I kind of get to as much as I can. Let's see. Jason, Brady was a great player. That's different than building a team. Be an owner. Let Spytek be accountable for doing a good job or bad. Yep, and that's, honestly, that's kind of what I'm hoping for. Eddie in the building. What's going on, man? Will Harbaugh get interviewed? New to the channel, old-time Oakland Raider fan. Look, I hope he does. It would not hurt one bit for you to bring in John Harbaugh, especially with Spytek kind of learning still, being a young GM. Bring him in. Bring him in for an interview. It would be it would be almost be malpractice, not at least bring him in to just kind of get a mindset of what he brings to the table. Because it allows you to understand. And this is my perspective, so let me know if you guys agree or disagree. But there's probably so much you can learn from John Harbaugh just through an interview. His mindset, his direction. You can ask him so many questions to determine kind of what a good organization looks like, what a good coaching staff looks like, how he would want to build it. And with a young-minded GM like John Spytek, I think you can learn so much from just interviewing him. And not only will you learn so much, but you also, again, if you understand how to form the questions, if you understand how to kind of continue the conversation, you might develop questions that you didn't formally think of, that you didn't previously think of to ask. I mean, it's like for myself, right? If I were to go and interview, an NFL coach, right? As much as I've coached this game and played it for a really long time, if I went to go interview a college or NFL coach, the amount that I would learn that would prompt probably other questions that would help me better understand what it takes to be a coach. at that level. Because I never made it as a coach. I never made it to the college level. I stopped at high school. I was done. And I think it would be massive for Spytek to bring in John Harbaugh, mainly to learn what he brings to the table. And you could actually look at that and gain knowledge of how to address the other coaches that you bring in for an interview and ask the right questions. So that's one reason why I would bring in John Harbaugh, like without question. Bring him in. Right away. What's going on, man? Appreciate you popping in here. Again, I appreciate everybody rocking with me, man. I got over 160 in the building. If you're on Twitter, jump over to Facebook. I'm about to do the giveaway again, as I promised to give away a couple of weeks if we locked in that number 1 overall pick. I also have been promising a giveaway of 5,500 subscribers. I just hit that. So I'll do that giveaway probably later this week, maybe this weekend, the next time I do a solo live, but I definitely want to hit you guys with the giveaway. As long as you put a comment in the chat, it automatically is going to enter you in. I'm about to do the raffle here in just a moment. And so just win. I don't know if you're out of here. I know, man, I'm behind the chat. I apologize, but hey, stick around for just a second. Appreciate you. Raider Bebop, you're just analyzing what you see and hear. It's all good what you're doing. Yes. I don't know if you're talking to me, but if you are, that's all I'm doing, right? You know what I'm saying? And so hopefully for myself, I can kind of give you my feedback, but at the same time, you guys can hit me with yours as well. And so let's do this. Where's the flag? First year was a lot of input from everyone around Spytek. This year, it's him. I'm sure Brady will show up on draft day and try and push stuff. Oh, God damn it. If he is not 110% in and then just shows up draft day and wants to try to throw his input in, God, I'll be so goddamn pissed. I'm not going to lie. Not going to lie. Damn it. All right, let's see. Okay. Again, appreciate everybody. I want to get to. I've been rocking out here for almost 3 hours. Sometimes I don't even know if I'm gonna be able to get an hour in. But as you guys can tell, I can talk a lot about topics. And when I do go live solo, I rock out on Sunday evenings as well as Wednesday in the Raider War Room with Chris Protect Show podcast as well as the Severe Raider. Hit that notification so you do know when we go live. Love getting those guys. Input as well. I definitely respect their opinions, so it's great linking up with those guys, but I definitely like to do solos. And again, you ask me a question, I could probably talk 30 minutes on a single topic. So it's tough. Chiyaya, we will build this line. I hope so. And let's do it right this time. And so, okay. I appreciate everybody. I apologize if I missed any questions or any feedback. Big John, I appreciate your feedback. I know we kind of went back and forth, but I appreciate your feedback, rocking out with me. Raiders News channel in the building. I appreciate everybody. Dominique in the building. Good having you, man. Raider Hawaii, having another old veteran as head coach intimidate Spytek on his decision. So that was my issue with like a Mike Tomlin. And I've been saying that probably for the last like 3 weeks or so, is that you bring in somebody like a John Harbaugh. That's one of my biggest issues with John Gruden. I've been saying it for weeks now. And then it would be my issue with Tomlin. As much as you bring those guys in, you're like, damn, like not Gruden. I'm over Gruden. One of my biggest issues with Gruden is the fact that he's going to muscle his way up to Markdavis, right? If John Gruden gets the job, it's not a Spytek decision. It's not a Tom Brady decision. It's a Markdavis decision. But I don't ever see that happening because the issues with John Gruden in the NFL, never see that happening. But my issues with Tomlin and Harbaugh is not that they couldn't come in and potentially turn this thing around. There's no reason why they couldn't turn this thing around. I think with Tomlin, damn, you bring him in, it'd be crazy to not be excited with him in the building. The only issue that I have with it is the fact that I think that they're going to come in and do exactly what Pete did and basically say, look, young GM, young Spytek, I've been around the block. I know the players I want. I want to do it this way, and it's going to be my way. And that's the only thing that I have an issue with because, again, it's about the proper chain of command. So, but would I be upset? I don't think I'd be upset because I think both those guys, as much as I want offensive-minded, young offensive-minded, honestly, I wouldn't be – I'd be cautiously optimistic. Let's put it that way. I'd be optimistic because those guys know how to turn a program around. So, okay. Let's do this. Let's see. I think I'm kind of all the way down again. I apologize if I missed anybody. Raider, I'm gonna take this thing down. Let's do this. If you guys put a comment in the chat, that means you're subbed. I definitely appreciate y'all. We're going to do this giveaway. And you know what? Because y'all rocked out with me, I've done this a couple times. Let me go ahead and set this up. Let me take this one down. Let me pull this up real quick. Okay. And hopefully I can zoom in. Typically, it'll let me zoom in a little bit. It'll help out. Let me share the screen. All right. We're going to get into this giveaway. Again, I promised you guys a giveaway. This will be I think it's my 16th giveaway since starting this channel. Again, I do this because you guys help me out, just kind of getting the itch out of coaching. And at the end of the day, man, I get a lot from you guys more than, just the content that I throw at you guys. So I definitely appreciate y'all. This is my way of giving back and showing my appreciation to all you guys. So let me share the screen. Bang, we're going to do it this way. Okay. All right, all the comments are down. Cool. Here we go. All we're going to do, I'm going to hit this draw button. Whoever pops up, you basically are the winner of, again, I think it's my 16th giveaway since starting the channel. So I'm going to hit this draw button. If your name pops up, you're the winner of this giveaway. Again, for us, we're celebrating getting that number 1 overall draft pick. So let's hit it. There we go. Daniel Kim, you win it. Daniel Kim, man. Let's see. Are you still in the building? Let me know. Let me see if you're still in the building. If not, man, you always rock out with it. So I'm not too worried with it, but I definitely appreciate everybody rocking. Again, I hit 5,500. I hit 5,500 subscribers. I've been promising you guys that I'll be doing another giveaway at 5,500. So what I'm going to do is this weekend, I'm going to try to do a solo live, and I'm going to do another giveaway. I'm going to do another giveaway for hitting that 5,500 subscribers, man. I appreciate all the subscribers, the viewers. I appreciate all the super chats, all the members. Remember, if you guys do want to get included, you guys do want to, if you guys want to throw out suggestions on the player breakdowns that we're going to do in the offseason, we're going to break down free agents. We're going to also break down the college prospects. If you guys are a member, you'll basically get put on that priority list of who we want to break down. Obviously, a lot of quarterbacks, a bunch of stuff. And so, Daniel, I'm going to reach out to Daniel Kim. He's always rocking. I'm going to make sure that I hit him up, let him know that he is the winner of the giveaway. But tap in later this week. I'm going to do another live. We'll go solo. We'll chop it up about all the head coaching stuff, all the movement. Obviously, now it's going to get real busy. And so we'll do a solo and we'll do another one-on-one later this week. I don't know exactly what time. Hit that notification so you do know when I go live. But I'll definitely drop a short and let you guys know when we rock out. Raider Bebop, I see you're watching the game on Friday. That's going to be a good one. The game on Friday is going to be a good one. I might go live on Friday. If not, I'm going to try to do it on Saturday. And so, but yeah, Daniel Kim, you're the winner. Shout out to you, man. I appreciate it. You always rock out with us. And it's always good, going out to somebody that rocks with us, on the day one, and a lot of you guys do. So I definitely appreciate you. Let me go back up to the big screen. I'm going to hit up Daniel Kim. I got him on IG. I'm going to let him know he won. I'll get the giveaway winner out to him and rock out. So, Isaiah, are you talking to me? Am I going to the draft? That is the plan. If anybody is going out to Pittsburgh for the draft, myself, the Severe Raider, as well as Chris Picture Podcast, I think Jeff is trying to go out there, as well as Leo. We're all planning to go out there. So it's going to be fun. If you guys are rocking out, hit us up on IG. Shoot me a message, because I definitely want to kind of put names to faces, man, and rock out with the nation. It's always good seeing a bunch of people at the tailgates. It's good shit. So appreciate everybody rocking. Shout out to Daniel Kim. I'm going to get a hold of him. And at the same time, East Coast, what's going on, brother? You have a spot on Radio Row? Okay, so are you going to be there? Because let me know. If you're going to be there, shoot me a message on Instagram. We'll definitely try to link up out there at Pittsburgh, man. It's going to be fun. So look, guys, hey, I've been on here for like 3 hours. We talked about Spytek's interview, and we talked a little bit about the firing Pete Carroll, but I'm going to be live tomorrow in the Raider War Room with Severe as well as Chris. Tap in for that, but also do another solo, do a giveaway for hitting 5,500 subscribers. So appreciate y'all, man. Hey, do me a favor. Double tap that screen on the way out. Tap it with me tomorrow as well as later in the week. And shit, have a great rest of your evening. I'll see you guys tomorrow. I'm out of here, guys.